connection.
Let's see how
Oh,
ultra
God, am I
low
ready?
this ultra low
Oh,
latency really is. 1, 2,
Ultra
3, 4,
low
5,
latency.
6, 7.
It's limbo latency.
We're sub 10 seconds. It looks like we might be maybe about 8, 9 seconds.
Oh, it is live.
Let's see.
Let me turn that
We
down.
use the smartphone stopwatch method. Okay. How long does it take for me to see my own hand? Whoa, that was less than 4 seconds.
Fantastic.
It's like 3.5 seconds.
That's crazy.
If you want to interact with us tonight in the chat, I will try to look at it from time to time. Good evening, Adrian. And yeah, very little latency. We've enabled ultra low latency mode tonight.
Which is different from last week when we had tomorrow latency turned on, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What kind of frame rate is Jeremy getting? Looks pretty smooth.
Yeah, Jeremy's camera looks fantastic.
Super awesome.
Which model do you have again?
It's still that old 920, man.
Wow.
It looks like
Now,
I mean,
the
we're
big
looking at a
change
yeah.
is that I re-imaged the machine almost a month ago. I didn't install the AMD USB drivers.
Yeah, we'll just leave it at that. Evening. Super neutral. Is that neutral or neural? Neutral. The monitor is, far away from me, the other monitor here.
Oh, that's
Can't
Far
you
away.
tell by his grayscale owl how neutral he is? It is an owl, isn't it?
Oh, hey, Brett says hi. Hey, Brett.
Oh, hey.
He's right there.
I'm
Right
with
here, right
I'm with that guy. That guy over there.
You went too far.
I did.
too far.
But that's
And literally.
typical, really.
All right, I'm hitting record.
Oh, I am much louder, and Sebastian is too low.
I'm too low? Okay. Well, we tried to fix that before we started streaming. I will turn myself up a little, and then
I will
Brett needs to
turn
back
my
off just a little more.
I did. Just a very small amount.
Small amount.
Yep.
Oh, this is probably coming from Discord then. Let me go to Discord
So
so I can be
perhaps.
berated properly. Oh. I want to interact with you too, Stickin82. I was born in 1982.
Hey,
I
let me
don't want
let me go
anybody
and tell my.
sticking anything.
I'll be
in
right
me,
back.
If you know what I mean.
Is he going to come back with even less clothing on? I'm
I hope
concerned
so.
about that.
See,
I'm concerned about that.
Before we went live, Josh was wearing a quarter zip, the official uniform of the PC Per podcast, as you can see. Jeremy is just wearing a Rebel Alliance T-shirt, which is
Well, he's
it's
Canadian.
cool. Oh, I see. It's half Rebel Alliance, half Imperials.
I want to talk about the Origins
Came with a Star
installer.
Wars bundle.
Want to talk about the Origins launcher later?
Oh, this new multicolored piece of garbage?
Oh my gosh, I'm on 20H. What is it? 20H2,
Yep.
and it doesn't launch. It's telling me it doesn't have permission. It's like, oh Jesus.
See, here's the problem, Brett, with reviewing
Mine
graphics
wanted
cards.
some random friggin' DLL of some sort added, and it wasn't telling me.
Oh really?
Oh, like a new install of Virtual or Visual Studio or.
It wasn't one of those or C++ because that makes sense. No, it was something else, and it ended up being how it renders the crap you don't want to see on the screen.
Oh, I can't even get it
I
to
found it out
download.
because Baldur's Gate 2 Enhanced Edition needed the same one. Because after I tracked down that earlier, all of a sudden Origin started working.
Huh. And of course, you need to be on the latest version, or at least one of the later versions of Windows to even use the Radeon DXR stuff.
Yes. When are you going to test that at the same time as DLSS?
Yeah, exactly. When am I going to test RTX and DLSS on a Radeon?
Yep,
That's a good question.
get on that. Start writing the damn driver now. Port it to Vulkan.
Hurry up.
So a nice thing about having the volume control on your headset. Just pop it down a notch or two.
Yep.
Oh, cat, please. No.
Did the cat throw up?
Why? No, but she wants to come up here.
Why not?
Well, that's fine, but it just makes life a lot harder.
Yes.
That's a
Yep. Make
sacrifice
up your
I'm willing
mind.
to make, Josh.
That's okay, Josh. I expect one of my or two of my cone heads to make an appearance because they're both deeply upset.
Yeah.
Well, hey, the reason, Time Twin, the reason that each square gets brighter ending with Josh is because Josh is the host. Therefore, he's the most important, so he is the brightest. Mm-hmm. So,
Is this cat showing up?
we did this intentionally. We thought about this.
Kitty.
I'm
Kitty.
the least important.
That's
Josh
my
is the
water.
most important.
Mom, Kitty's being a...
Well, I know a certain
what's
kitty
been with
kitty.
Mummy tonight.
I know a certain kitty
Yeah.
kitty.
Yeah.
Is that just water, Josh? I mean,
It's just water.
good for you for staying hydrated,
even-
but I mean,
It's just
it's
vodka.
not very exciting. That's a lot of
No,
vodka.
it's not. Wait until the end of the week before I have some beverages.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm wearing a gaming headset. It's the Corsair HS60 haptic. Rainy says hi. Rainy of the
So
white belly.
if we yell really loud, hopefully Josh's ears will start to hurt as it beats on him.
Everyone, yeah. Well, I do have the haptic turned on, and I can, when Brett says something, I get a little vibration because his voice is down there,
Oh, it's all that bass.
all about the bass.
Does it tickle your ears when Brett talks to you?
Well, yeah, but all right.
Now
see
you get
I
a
turned
massage at the same time.
You better turn that haptic off, Josh.
Yes, Josh.
Yeah,
How's that
Too
haptic
annoying.
feedback?
my pie.
He's going to have to leave the room again.
No,
That's what it was.
We can't see his other hand right now. We can only imagine what's. Oh, okay.
Well, those are hands on sticks.
Those are both hands.
let me figure out a.
A pleasing arrangement of windows. You gonna quick add another chapter to that book you've been writing?
The Great American Novel.
novel.
The novel.
It was a dark and stormy night.
Hey, my stream
usual.
analytics are not working.
Oh,
True in
no.
Vancouver.
They're stuck. Oh, there we go. Had to refresh. There's the loaded question, super neutral. Anyone
Which
get a
is-
6000 series card? Question mark.
Oh,
That's a
you have
good
to
one.
be special. You have to
Two
be very
members of
special.
our Discord community that I know of got one. Jordan and Brother Michigan.
I think you're going to want to
Really?
check that first one again. You're going to
really?
want to cross-check that one.
Uh-oh.
Yeah,
That fell through.
yeah. He'll probably chime in if he's on. If he's not, I'll.
But he changed his name to official 6800 XT owner. Or no, you're talking about Jordan.
Jordan.
Jordan,
Yeah.
I thought he was 6800 XT dad.
He was for a while, and he's
now
no
he's
longer.
not. Now he's not allowed to game on PC.
That is correct. That
That's
is his new name.
Why? Because he's Xbox.
Is
Xbox
playing
Lifestyle?
Forza. No, his son has turned it into a Forza station.
He was just
And-
trolling when he was calling.
No,
himself.
no, he actually did create the order. Apparently, since he's not on, I don't see him. He got an email saying that his order was canceled.
For reasons other.
Yes, you are correct.
As in no
other.
stock.
It was, as far as I know, he ordered from AMD direct.
What's the
Even
difference?
they don't
That
have
was the one
stock.
that Azor bought. So they couldn't fulfill both orders.
Oh, they had two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To give it to a Team Red person instead.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's just the way it goes. You know, it's fine.
All right.
Yeah, I hope the AIBs on the 25th have several cards.
Dozens of cards.
Dozens
Yes.
and dozens and dozens.
Yes, the headphones do vibrate when playing Dirt Rally.
Excellent.
Yeah, it
Even-
vibrates and everything.
Oh, it's audio driven, so there's no special support needed.
So it's anything under 120 hertz. It does haptic,
Yeah.
Nice.
something like that. Yeah,
That'd be a nice
yeah,
ad.
they're
If you screwed up one of the turns and went really too hard to one side, it just sort of smacked you in the head like you bounced your head off of the window.
yeah, that would be funny.
Well, it'd be disorienting. Make it more realistic.
The only thing I really didn't like is why is Crash Reporter on? Hang on a second. What's up, Ty? Oh, jeez. Which shoe?
You have a shoe
Yeah, I
problem.
may want to look at
I am guessing this is puppy involved.
I hope not.
Yes, the puppy is awful right now. All right. Well, I'm ready if you
Was
guys
it
are.
ingesting or expressing?
I don't know.
Hey Josh, we're
Fair.
live. We're recording. Whenever you're ready.
There's a missing
Okay.
shoe, and we're ready to go.
This has been a day. All right. 3, 2. Welcome to the PC Perspective Podcast. We are on episode 605. We're recording this on November 18th, 2020. And tonight, I get to be your host. I'm Josh Walrath.
I'm still Jeremy Hellstrom.
I'm Sebastian Peak.
I'm Brett Van Sprumberg.
Well, that's nice that everybody was able to chime in a somewhat reasonable order. So as I go pale here, I'll read off some of the bullet points for this evening, namely, if you'd like to be notified of events such as podcast, other potential live streams, and maybe even some Twitch streams in the future, you can subscribe to our email for any kind of updates for bcper.com/subscribe. We typically do emails out before these live events and like this podcast. If you can help support the site, we would be greatly appreciative. Ad revenue is always an issue in these days, and so you can go to our Patreon site, patreon.com/PCPer, and become a patron. And I believe that our friend Brett, we have a couple of new people who have subscribed. And
Indeed. I take great pleasure in announcing the two new members who have signed up to our Patreon. Jason Smith, number one. Thank you very much, Jason, for your support. And someone who mysteriously identified themselves only using the initials SE. What do you think that might stand for? I mean, it's kind of open to interpretation. I'm not really sure. Super...
Echelon?
I don't know. Yeah.
One of the better versions
Yeah,
of Windows?
Yep. That's ME, but close.
No.
Hold on. No,
Well, second edition.
No. Yeah.
Second
edition.
edition.
SE.
Frickin' Vista,
No
the
enemy.
first coming.
SE2.
Yeah, anyway, my cat is stalking me again, I believe. I heard some meowing going on, so she may be showing up again. This is not the day for pets in between puppy and cat and two children. So anyway, going on to the next thing, let's talk about the burger. Who had a burger today? Anybody?
Yes.
Anybody?
Yes.
Okay.
Had a grilled
Did you?
cheese.
I sure did have a burger. It was called the Johnny Appleseed. It had 2 locally sourced beef patties, thinly sliced apples, blue cheese, and bacon crisps. So basically they chopped up bacon and mixed it with blue cheese and made like crisps, and they put it on top of it. Mustard greens, I'd never heard of those before, and chipotle mayo. It's
Mustard greens are nice.
yeah, no, it was a fantastic burger. Maybe not my favorite, but certainly was a very pleasant experience. It may be a little too rich to ever have again. I prefer a little bit more heat in my burgers, but no, this was yet again another good. They kind of smashed the bun down a little bit The fries needed to be a little bit more well done, but other than that, I can't really complain. It was a really good burger, and didn't
And you did
cost
put
an
the
arm and
greens
a
on it?
leg. Yeah, they put the mustard grains on there.
Good.
All
No,
good.
they're
All
nice.
good, man.
Spicy.
Yeah.
Peppery.
So, burgers. We has them. It's amazing how it get blown out. I really need to get some different lighting in this damn room. Maybe
Like-
for Christmas.
That's
You need the warmth of whatever Brett's using.
As
Those
compared to
color
your
temperature.
dungeon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's fine. I'm trying to
Yeah.
make it look as unpleasant as it is for me.
Yeah.
We had another burger. There was a bit of confusion in the pre-show.
Yeah, Brother Michigan.
Yeah, because he's getting in on the game. Let's see.
He
here.
is, and his game is pretty good. Brother Michigan had I don't know what kind it was. Looks like it had some blue cheese on there, maybe some mushrooms. Definitely had some pretty tasty looking fried pickles.
Oh yeah.
So
Mm.
yeah, Burger Day and Radeon 6800 launch burgers. Excellent choices.
What a way to celebrate buying one of the few cards in existence.
Yes. But, that leads us directly into our first and probably most important review. Sebastian wrote about the new Radeon 6800 XT and 6800 cards that he got from AMD. Never mind, there was no CPU, but we're still in the game with video cards, so you got to be happy about that.
Yes.
Elated.
Yeah. So take it away there, Sebastian.
Well, let's just go straight into the review images here. Let's look at the website pcpro.com for this review. And I don't have to be the only one narrating this. I mean, the card is, if you've read any of the reviews or watched any of the videos, it is extremely impressive what they've done. Big Navi is here. You can shout it from the rooftops. It finally happened after years of waiting, from when it was just a twinkle in Raja's eye to now. He's
I
long
enjoyed your
gone.
slow roll introduction, by the way.
Whatever I wrote, yeah.
Yes.
You know, when you write it like midnight, a long time ago in a galaxy much like this one, humanoid beings first became aware of the phenomenon known only as Big Navi. As elusive as the similarly named but only tangentially related Bigfoot from Earth's not quite ancient history, we now have much more than grainy handheld camera footage or video cards leaks. Yeah, hey,
bet you I could catch
I wrote that.
Bigfoot quicker.
Very, very nice. And the photography, stunning, I might add.
It was okay.
Fair.
But look at this. Like, here's the architecture of RDNA 2. We had heard about this revolutionary infinity cache that plays a huge role in the performance here. And we haven't even tested all of the features yet. There's other stuff under the hood here, but RDNA 2, more performance per clock, and they went kind of nuts with clock speeds. I don't know how it's even possible, but they did it. And
When you have pretty good CPU guys to also lean upon, there's got to be some cross pollination going on in between the CPU and the GPU people, and you're all using probably a fairly optimized 7 nanometer process on both of them. That you've got a pretty large chip running at almost 2.5 gigahertz. That's kind of insane when you're talking only 300 watts TDP potential.
yeah.
And
Hey, so you think the GPU guys leaned out of their cubicle and went over to the CPU guys and said, hey, you guys, we got a routing problem here. We want to hit 2.3 gigahertz.
I don't know about that because it's Markham, Canada, and Singapore. I think the other design
All right.
team,
Maybe
and then
they might have gotten on
another
the phone.
group in Massachusetts. So who knows? Who knows what all kind of things that they have done? But yeah, I mean, the game clock is 215 megahertz for the XT and 1815 for the 6800. And the boost is 2250 for the XT and 2105 for the 6800. But you saw numbers far greater than that.
Oh yeah, those
during
are
testing, didn't
super
you?
conservative numbers. I'm looking at them again. It's kind of crazy because, I mean, they will normalize. That's the thing. But momentary frequencies were always hitting 2450 in games with the XT, and then the non-XT was always hitting 2250. So they're boosting very, very well with a more powerful cooling solution. Like if you put one of these underwater, you could, I presume, you'd see longer duration for those high boosts. These were more momentary bursts of speed, but yeah, I mean it's
Yeah, and kind
incredible what
of
they've done.
another advantage of the 6800 series is that they come with 16 gigs of memory, and you can compare that to the 3070, which is 8 gigs, and the 3070 is 8 gigs, 3080 is 10 gigs, and you get a lot more with the 3090, obviously, if you can get a hold of it. Which is funny because our work just got 2 of them, and they paid a premium
Ooh.
for them. But anyway, that's neither here nor there, though it does kind of become relevant later on when we talk about actual availability of these. Even in your testing, though, even when you were approaching 10 gigs in memory, you weren't seeing a tremendous improvement in performance over the 1600, or rather, you didn't see a lowering of performance with the 3080. And I think that you had made a good comment, is that memory usage does not necessarily map directly to memory performance. Or did you say that, or somebody else did?
I'm not sure. What I said was memory allocation does not equal memory usage.
Okay.
That's one of these.
That's what you said.
There's a lot of confusion out there about, and this sounds like I'm being an NVIDIA apologist, but I mean there is a lot of confusion about what those actual numbers are. Like if you have a game or a utility like GPUC, something is reporting the total number, like the total amount of VRAM usage. There are a lot of games that will just straight up allocate all available VRAM, and that is not indicative of how much is actually being used during the game. And that will change throughout the game depending on the scene, the textures. So I would have to look into it a little bit more to see if there's an accurate way to actually. It might be application specific, so I don't know if there's some utility that'll tell you like exactly how much VRAM is being used to render each frame that you're seeing. But we didn't see the 3080 fall down at 4K at all. And then there was, there's a bandwidth constraint from the memory itself with the new Radeon cards, just inherent in the fact they're using GDDR6
And not 6X.
Yeah, not 6X, not HBM2. So
But they've got that L3 cache, 128 megs of game cache, and if you allocate that,
that in combination with a very mild bus bandwidth of only 256 bits, that 128 megabytes really makes up for a lot of other discrepancies. But that's what he meant to say.
Hold on.
Before you had a memory overflow.
There was divide by zero error.
It might have been me. Hold on a second.
Did your cat
You
step on
finally
the keyboard?
fulfilled your dream of hanging up on him, have you?
No. Oh, what is going on here? I went to switch to him, and right above the number, because there's a number for everybody, like 1 through 4. There's a close box.
Oh no.
Let me see. Undo. There's Josh.
and I need to restart.
No, you don't. You don't. You don't.
Oh,
No.
Wait,
Wait.
now you're back.
Hey,
That was
I'm back.
100% my fault.
did you really do something
I
bad?
think so. Yeah. And what's weird is
Yeah, it says the host has disconnected you from.
yeah,
How rude.
I've got to try to fix it because now the main shot doesn't have Josh in it, and the other one does. Like he's still there. Oh my goodness.
And my wife's desk just keeps getting messier and messier. It's amazing how that works.
All right, hold on a
I
second.
cleaned that up a little while ago. Hey, but at least I look clean.
Close.
Took a shower this
close,
morning.
Reopen.
Or maybe it was yesterday
What
day-
the heck?
or the day before.
Yeah, it's still.
Once a week, whether I need it or not.
All right, Josh. How about if I have you hang up and call right back, and then we'll continue. Because you're not
Fine.
in our main view anymore.
Okay. Yeah.
It's missing.
All right.
All right. That's just something I can do. Hold on. Hold on. Everything is going to heck. It's like the early days of when I was hosting this thing just a couple
Yeah.
months ago. Being inept. All right. Multi-view, position, Brett. Oh, it's listed as none. Okay, here we go. Put it on Josh. Enter.
Ooh,
Oh, hey, he's back. He's
look at
back.
that.
Look at that in real
did it.
time. What
I guess
did
I
it?
was
What
gonna
were we talking about?
reveal something
You're
terrible.
very close to talking about the bandwidth of the memory.
Yes.
128 megabytes of infinity cache, 256 megabit bus. They're making miracles here, man.
The last thing I said was, or HBM2, and then Josh started to talk, and I reached over to click on Josh's camera and make him number one, and I clicked close
Like so.
instead. Because vMix is a horrible program to use.
Oh.
I need one
Yeah,
of those
just
Stream
talking,
Deck
and suddenly
things.
it just stopped. Says
Yeah.
you've been kicked.
It wasn't my fault. It was my fault. It was completely
It
my
was.
fault.
It was.
You should get out that, what is that, Corsair keyboard with the extra programmable keys
I know,
on it?
but then, yeah. I just need to
Yeah.
get one of those Stream Deck things.
Stream Deck
The
would be nice.
Elgatos.
You know who's got those Stream Decks
Yeah.
right at the front door? Micro Center. Micro Center has those right at the
Right at the front door?
And you know, guess who has a Micro Center
Practically.
right by his front door? Brett, and he won't stop talking about it.
It's
Yep.
like
Yep.
all of 30 minutes away, 35.
One
I'm not
of
talking
us.
about it.
That's
One
insufferable.
of us.
I'm the insufferable. Mirror. Yeah, we can't say that.
Uh-oh. Okay.
Okay.
How am I going to edit this one together? Easily, using video editing software.
It's like magic.
The magic.
Okay.
Magic.
Anyway, Josh, memory bandwidth. Do you think that these cards are potentially
Constrained?
bandwidth constrained, especially? at
Well, I mean, according to your performance figures, probably not. And even though it's using GDDR6 versus 6X, like NVIDIA has, they perform very, very well, even at high resolutions, where you'd think that more memory bandwidth would equate into more performance. But they've got that 128 megs of L3 cache, what the Infinity cache, is that
Yeah,
what they're
yeah.
calling it now? Gaming cache, you can never tell me because what gaming cache is on the CPU, right? It makes sense.
It's Infinity Cache.
Yeah, it's
Infinity
Infinity
cache.
cache. Yeah. So it's a large
As
amount
long as they get along.
of L3 cache on the chip, and if you're really, really clever with what you put in there and what you're constantly kind of accessing and changing to do these scenes, it doesn't have to encompass the entire 16 gigs of memory. You can put a lot of that stuff into 128 megs. Very, very close. It's 3 to 4 times the speed and lower latency than main memory, which is the GDDR6. And so, yeah, they've kind of delivered on their promise. Instead of some heavy duty ray tracing or tensor cores hardware, they've kind of invested that space in a large amount of L3 cache, and the performance is really, really good.
But at 4K, wasn't there a little bit of fall off at 4K, and maybe memory bandwidth might have something to do with it? I can't really identify what might have caused that, but there's a little bit of a place changing from the, who's the quickest card here, and a little bit of performance fall off at higher resolutions. What do you guys think?
I noticed.
I don't
that.
know.
definitely
Ask the
right.
benchmarking guy.
Well,
Yeah.
Yeah.
if you, everything being constant, and I didn't do any adjustments to the detail settings when I moved from 1440 to 2160. So moving up to 4K, it was still either ultra or high or whatever it was at 1440. And we would, like you said, we were flip flopping. It wasn't much. Like if
Yeah,
we'll look at the
very
performance
close.
numbers, but yeah, it was. It was
Yeah, before anyone
noticeable.
wants to yell, AMD put out a 4K card. We're not saying they didn't, because they did.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that definitely across the board, every time they they switch from 1440p to 4K, that's when you see the 3080 starting to jump ahead occasionally by 1 frame, sometimes a bit more. Just giving you some time to fill in, Sebastian.
Yeah, thank you. I'm just thinking because remember when the Radeon 7 launched and it had 16 gigabytes of memory, and it would just seem like this outrageous number. Like nobody had ever seen a consumer graphics card with that much RAM. What are you going to do with this much VRAM? And it opened up all these worlds of possibilities for, creative GPU kind of applications. And nothing really for games unless you just went nuts. Like if you did like display scaling and ran the game like internally at 8K and downscaled it to 4K, you could use like 10 or 12 gigabytes. I don't think I ever reached over 12 maybe, and that was doing crazy stuff like Shadow of the Tomb Raider 8K.
Flight Sim?
Well, that wasn't out yet, but yeah, I mean, maybe that would do it. That could be the use case. But here we are a year and a half later, and all of their consumer graphics cards have 16 gigabytes of VRAM, and it seems like they would have the edge at 4K, but it's interesting that they don't scale to 4K, at least in the testing I've done, quite as well. But there are games that absolutely are optimized for these, such as we had an early access copy of Dirt 5. Well, not really.
Oh, yeah.
It came out on November 6th. But AMD
Yeah,
was
the card's monstrous.
Yeah, AMD was
Yeah.
looking, asking reviewers if they needed any keys, and of course they were offering games that are very optimized for AMD. And why not? There are games that are famously optimized for NVIDIA, but we'll get to that in a second. Let's just look at some benchmarks here while I'm talking. At the outset, here's 3D Mark, TimeSpy and TimeSpy Extreme. It's a 1440 and a 4K test. This actually was a pretty good overall look at what the performance is going to be like in games across the board, whether you like synthetic benchmarks or not. The Founders Edition 3080 is just ahead of a 6800 XT. It's not a massive difference here. And there is a $50 drop in price going down to the 6800 XT. It looks like if you just looked at synthetic benchmarks, there's going to be a slight reduction in performance that is more than offset by the reduction in price. This is all theoretical if you could buy these at MSRP. What's really impressive to me is looking at the 6800, the non-XT, and seeing that this beats a 2080 Ti, it beats a 3070 easily, and a lot of these benchmarks you're going to see are going to be 6800 XT followed by 6800 and then 2080 Ti. So it's extremely impressive what they've done, especially with the non-XT, just the positioning, the pricing. I know it is more expensive. The 6800 is $579 in theory versus $499 for a 3070, but it's still a heck of a lot cheaper than a 2080 Ti and has better performance. And then here you are at 4K. 3080 maintains its lead. It's a little bit bigger by percentage, but not much. And then the same order, basically, right through the middle of the chart, where a 6800 is faster than 2080 Ti and 3070. So, and by the way, I went back through and retested 2080 Ti numbers using our old Founders Edition card. Previously, all of the charts had shown this Asus Strix card that is now in Brett's possession, so I needed to retest our FE. And those numbers are actually slightly lower than the Strix, because the Strix wasn't a factory overclocked card. Anyway, here's that Dirt 5 number that we were talking about. 6800 XT blows away the 3080. In fact, both 6800 series cards were above the 3080 in this test at 1440 Ultra. So let's let that sink in for a second.
And that's a native DX12 game, huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
So, moving up to 4K, same story. You still have the 6800 on top, but now the 3080 and 6800 are effectively tied. I mean, we're down to the second decimal place here almost. Like it's about a half frame per second. 68.65 versus 68.14. So it's effectively a tie. That's a 3-run average. And that seemed like if you just looked at these numbers and didn't look at synthetics, didn't look at any other benchmarks, just looked at the AMD provided titles, you were going to see the 6800 XT as the new champion, the new gaming champion. And but I'm not
obviously AMD has worked extensively with Codemasters on this. I mean, they've been a partner for a long time. And was that a built-in benchmark, or was that you actually went out and drove a little bit?
That is a glorious 3-minute long unbroken race that
Nice.
you can just run it and benchmark it. It's pretty consistent. I did notice a couple of kind of humorous things about the benchmark that remind me of another benchmark in the past where the first run is always like 10 frames per second higher than any later
Other
run.
subsequent run. Yeah.
Because depending on the position, like the one of the bad things about canned benchmarks is they aren't always consistent. Like Assassin's Creed Odyssey, I think, is the one that I just stopped even trying to use because the character models would always be different. Like there'd be a character model right up front, and then there wouldn't be. And it was a huge hit in performance to have to render this guy versus not rendering him in the next run. And what I noticed with Dirt 5 was that sometimes you were in the lead, and so it wasn't rendering any cars in front of you. And sometimes you were in the back of the pack, so it was rendering like 7 cars ahead of you. And that was what I was noticing. Run 1, you were in the lead. Great result. Run 2, you were back of the pack, and the frames dropped. But anyway, we got the consistent average results out of all of these. But moving on to another game that is typically kind of an AMD game. This is a game that they promoted back when it came out, Tom Clancy's Division 2. This is 1440 high using DX12. And the 3080 Founders Edition is about 5 frames per second faster than the 6800 XT. The relative position of the 6800 and the 2080 Ti remains constant through all of these. 6800 is a faster card than a 2080 Ti, which is in turn slightly faster than a 3070. And if we look at 4K, same settings, DX12, high preset, suddenly the 3080 is on top by about 5 frames per second, 4.5 over the 6800 XT, and then all the other positions are the same. So these two cards, the 6800 XT and the 3080, they flip-flop depending on resolution, which is interesting. That's what we were alluding to earlier with the whole, is this a memory thing? And it could be, maybe it's a driver thing. I don't know. We're using beta drivers to test.
This is all fresh wine. Very fresh wine.
I will say though, I was expecting a game like Metro Exodus, which is a more NVIDIA friendly game, to be like a 3080 front runner even at 1440, and it was not. So the 6800 XT again, it's not much. It's less than a frame per second, but the 6800 XT on average came out on top in Metro Exodus at its high preset using DX12. And then if we move to
those 95 and 99 percentile numbers are pretty good
yes,
across the board.
yeah,
Boy,
that's
we've really come a long way in terms of driver strengths and people really optimizing for a smooth experience.
exactly. I remember when I started using, I think it was OCAT to test stuff in like December of 2018. I was kind of amazed. Games like F1 that were like less than half of the average for the 95th percentile, and then even worse for the 99th, but they're getting better. Metro Exodus is actually one of the worst games for frame consistency that I see, but it's still not bad. But anyway, flip-flopping again. It's about a 5 frame per second advantage for the 3080 at 4K in this game. So just that
Even though it's got less memory, that's
Yeah.
just weird.
But you know what though? I should do more.
Ghost
testing.
Recon. I don't think you did Ghost Recon,
I did not.
but that was another one that's an exact example of that. FPS Review and a couple other places grabbed that one. It's just weird. I don't quite grasp why it chooses to flip-flop when it flip-flops.
I wonder if it's cache related, because you have 128 megabytes of cache. Maybe when you're pushing more pixels, because you have to keep them fed, like you have to keep the memory system going.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe that's just where the 3080 has an advantage, because the 3080 has the faster memory. Because as you can see, it's still a heck of a lot faster than a 2080 Ti at 4K, and so is the 6800. But they have the same memory system.
Hey, all architectural decisions have a trade-off, and AMD decided to go with lower rated RAM, a smaller bus.
Well, they didn't have a choice with
and
the lower rated RAM.
True. Yeah,
RAM,
because NVIDIA
Unless
has
they
the
went
exclusive-
HBM.
and they didn't want to do that thing again.
You wouldn't be
Maybe
$50 underneath NVIDIA then.
No.
No.
Maybe it's just the Gestalt theory. The whole is greater than the sum of the parts when it comes to GPU design as the entirety of it. And NVIDIA has a small advantage there at kind of this price point and higher resolutions. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see, and I know a lot of people will be digging more into it. And we'll also get enhanced drivers eventually that potentially will improve performance in some of these corner cases, but I don't know. We'll see.
We'll see.
Any other?
How many
I was going to say, how many of us are running at 4K right now?
No. I mean, I use 14. I use a 1440 display every day, and then I use 4K for game testing. But that's it.
See, it's not quite as niche a part as an SLI or a Crossfire card setup used to be in the old days. But honestly, I mean, 4K is lovely and it's coming. It's here, but it's not something that a lot of people are aiming for. And one of the lovely things is that at 1440p, this is where the card sits. So it's fun to talk about the 4K stuff, but honestly, I haven't looked at the Steam surveys, honestly, but I'm betting there's less than 1% of people gaming at 4K right now.
It was low.
Yes,
it was
no.
around that. It was just a little under 1% the last time I looked.
Yeah.
And even 1440 wasn't that high, single digits, and the
Well,
vast
1080 is
majority
still king.
1080, yeah, but
Yeah.
that'll eventually change. We're talking about enthusiasts though. Enthusiasts don't follow the mainstream. We're not gaming on.
So what would you
integrated
consider a
graphics.
3440 by 1440? I mean, that's
Ultra wide.
almost it is ultra wide.
Fair.
Okay, asshole.
Yeah, ultra wide, but no, that's
Yeah.
fair.
That's my new monitor I just got. Is that 34-inch
Yeah.
AOC monitor?
It's still.
So it's almost 4K.
is
though,
it?
right?
Let's do some
I mean,
math.
essentially,
I'm
it's
gonna use my
38.
calculator app.
Okay,
it's
no,
like-
it's about
it's like-
20% less.
Okay.
It's like 2.9K. I don't know.
Yeah, I
It's
think it's
multiplied
almost
out.
3K.
Yeah.
It's significantly less. It's like 40% less. Fewer.
Normally,
Fewer
I
or
did
less?
I did some
Fewer.
testing with on a 2070 Super, and it put a pretty hard load on it, and I was only hitting mid 80 frames a second in runs on the Tomb Raider, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, mid 80s with DLSS on, mid 70s on the benchmark run with DLSS off.
You're talking about
So-
with RTX enabled then?
Yes.
Uh,
So it was a bit of a strain on that card. Normally on a 2K monitor, you'd see numbers pushing over 100 with that card, I do believe, 2070 Super, and it was down 20% ish.
I think we just need to overclock the
That's
memory
reasonable.
on this 60.
Yeah, it's got to be in.
to see.
As an aside, Soren has done another wonderful Photoshop. And
Hold on.
Yeah, and I'm
Although
going to have to
Gizmo
agree
just
with that.
above him is kind of terrifying as well. He's watching us on
actually-
the Switch, apparently.
That's pretty freaky as well. I saw that. So either one of those are good to share, or both.
I'm always afraid
You should be.
to look.
It's clean.
Is it?
And
No,
it is
wearing
really
this-
clean.
Where it is. Wearing this is appropriate though whenever you dive into the Discord. So
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ooh. Okay. I like this. Hold on.
it needs to be like sort of and this is the soap I use underneath it.
Yeah, no. It's,
Josh check soap.
Josh check soap.
He said hard
The next
load.
$1 million
Yes, Sickle
idea.
82, he did say hard load. I noticed that.
Yeah.
I didn't want to say anything about
It
it.
has to be soap on a rope, right?
Ooh.
Oh,
Don't drop the
Anyway.
soap. Can we quickly
drop the
just
soap.
can we quickly show the power
let's
numbers?
start. Let's do that.
Yes.
I mean, this is the. Everybody likes to talk over me. Who's running this damn thing?
You are. You got to be more assertive.
You.
Shut it, Brett.
It is me.
And he's still making noise, Brett. I'm gonna take your audio away. All right.
Yeah,
about
he's
the
gonna
power.
unplug
Brett's
a
audio is
USB.
gone. He's in timeout.
Anyway, so yeah. I mean, is the power the thing that's probably most interesting to you, especially if you look back at the 2000 generation and AMD's original RDNA? What really pops out with this RDNA 2 architecture?
You tell me, Josh.
I hope not the caps.
It's funny.
Yeah. There's a little bit of coil noise too with your models.
Yes, there is.
Yeah, fair.
No, that seems to be a feature of AMD built cards. I wonder if that's a Sapphire thing. You should ask Ed.
Is Sapphire still the maker of the reference cards for AMD?
I think the group
expect so,
behind
yeah.
Sapphire is.
Okay.
So yeah. But no, I mean, looking at these numbers, they kind of line up well with what NVIDIA does, and to me, that's kind of impressive. Just because the 5700, I seem to remember it being a little bit higher power than like a 2070, which it competed against, and a 2060 Super, which was another fairly efficient card for the performance that you got. But in these, they're sub 3080 across the board pretty much.
Yep.
And the 6800 is a 250 watt TDP official board, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's right around the old 1080 Ti, which people still have grasped in their cold, dying hands.
Well,
Josh,
if I could replace my 1080, I would.
I was going to say that the 2080 Ti or the 1080 Ti and the 6800 on the same test system were within 1 watt of each other. That's idle and load. They're almost identical power draw. So,
And when you look at the performance
Yeah.
between the two, that's part of that is part of that's 7 nanometer, and part of that is just overall design. Because look at Vega, it probably pulled. The 16 gig version, it probably pulled around the same kind of power as a 1080 Ti, but that performance was significantly lower. Vega 64 and the big special Radeon 7 or Vega 7, Vega 7. They were not, even though they were 7 nanometer parts, they were not overly efficient. But they have really injected the secret sauce in RDNA too, and they've done things. Just because they're, in theory, they should have more transistors active at once, the way that they get the workload going. And you'd think that you wouldn't see as much shutdown in different portions of the chip, which is, they all chips these days do that. I mean, they will essentially just cut off power to things that aren't needed and pop it back up and clock it back up. And when they do, it's just, we've got an extreme amount of power gating going on. And so that they're able to achieve this kind of performance and not blow up thermals and power draw is really impressive. I thought that NVIDIA would be a little bit ahead of them just because the last several generations of products, NVIDIA has been ahead, especially in terms of performance per watt. But now AMD certainly has come back. I mean, it's I kind of wish their marketing had been a little bit better at their launch a month ago, where they would explain the performance a little bit more accurately, because a lot of people had doubts about it, and we were among them. But this release has erased pretty much any of those doubts. They have a high-performing card that does not break the TDP and power consumption targets that we've kind of set for this generation. Again, this generation we're giving a whole lot more leeway than we have in the past, but it's not unprecedented that we have this kind of power draw. I mean, like the GTX 480 was a monster, and if you ever tried to touch one of those reference cards while it was going, it was an exciting experience. So, yeah, I've been very impressed with this, and of course the elephant in the room that nobody wants to talk about, but everybody wants to talk about is
availability.
You can't have one.
And we don't have any numbers whatsoever. No matter how much Jeremy grumbles, we don't have any numbers of how many cards were actually shipped. There are some people out there who say that's as low as the 3080. There are those who say they ship more than the initial batch of 3080s. I don't know. Local micro centers were getting like one 6800 XT and 12 6800s, and you have to be kind of lucky to have grabbed one. I know Frank Azor is not doing himself any favors by saying, well, look, guys, I was on the AMD.com site and I bought one, even though I had to refresh a couple of times. Like, okay.
Someone else could have had that, Frank.
Yeah, Frank.
Damn it.
Yeah, and
I
there
don't know.
are questions. Anytime you have an employee saying, "Hey, I was able to buy it just fine," then just as people were, there's hundreds of replies to that.
It's like a certain
they're
shroud
not-
saying, yeah, I got the first Rocket Lake off the line.
Yeah, I got Rocket Lake, no problem.
Yeah,
It's a
guys.
company store, and I picked it up.
Yeah, no.
I still think it's a great card, though. I mean, both of them.
Yeah, I mean, let's go to closing thoughts on it. I mean, we can each chime in. Go ahead, Sebastian, since you had the hands-on.
Yes. Well, as I said in the review, and I'll just cheat here and read it, I think it's safe to say that AMD has delivered on the big Navi promise. Navi? We haven't even tested biggest Navi yet, which is going to be the 6900 XT. And AMD has suddenly and emphatically altered the gaming landscape, bringing us closer to parity than we've been in many years.
Yeah, this is an area that AMD has not been in for a very long time, probably since Hawaii.
Yeah.
You know, the RX 290. That was kind of the last gasp of their stuff before. You know, we had the Polaris, which is still a thing, and they're still
Yes.
selling those at a tremendous amount, which is just very strange. But you know, they're a popular 1080 card with 8 gigs of RAM and sub $200 price. So, yeah, Brett, what do you think?
I think there's room to sneak a couple of TI cards in there. We'll see how NVIDIA responds. And personally, I actually tried to buy one today, and oh my gosh, I couldn't. Crazy. I couldn't get one. I mean, you know, one of the 6800 cards. Couldn't get it.
Wait a minute.
But I think there's-
So, wait, on Radeon Day,
Yeah.
you get up.
Yeah, I tried
go
to buy a
your computer
6800
in
card.
the morning and try to
Yeah.
buy. Oh, you tried to buy a 6800. I thought you were saying you were trying to buy
Yeah.
a 3080.
No. I was trying to buy a 6800.
It's like, okay, here's how
But
Brett's
my-
day started. He got up
Yeah.
this morning, he made himself some
Yeah.
coffee, he went to his computer,
yeah.
and went
There's
right to
waffles.
apple.com and ordered an M1 powered MacBook Pro.
That's not what happened.
Oh, okay.
That's
All right.
that's
At
a
least
fantasy.
he tried to. He tried to.
Still, that's a fantasy. I'll tell you
I
about
will
it more
say,
later.
Apple gets it right when it comes to buying things that they don't have, because you can buy it and it'll just tell you there's a 2-month lead time. You know,
There's that, and you can just stand outside for a while at one of their
yeah,
stores.
you can go to one of their Apple stores and wait around like in a mall.
Mhm.
But I wish AMD.com had these cards up for sale and let thousands upon thousands of people buy them.
You know,
and just see
I
the
wish you
lead
could get
time
on a
go
list.
later and later.
yeah,
yeah.
why not?
And that
Why
way,
not?
plus
Well,
we'd have some like,
they
hey,
can't do that because they're robbing their partners. Eventually, the partners are going to have enough stock that they will, you know, fill the channel and be able to supply the demand. It's just going to take a while. I mean, we've never been in an experience like we have now. I mean, the pandemic has caused such a drop in not just these finished products, but all the components. We have less people working in the factories that make this stuff, and there's a longer lead time. I mean, people even like you know, the Concept 2 rowing people. I mean, they have a 4-month waiting thing for buying stinking rowing machines because everybody has to exercise from home. And I mean, we look at the controllers, you know, racing wheels and joysticks, and we've come into the time where people are staying home. They see the NASCAR guys racing virtually, and they're like, hey, that sounds fun because I'm not doing anything else with my life other than working from home. And
cheating.
yeah, and so they find that may have a little bit more money. Yeah, and I'm not trying to excuse AMD because it would be really nice if they were to unload and they'd be able to unload a large amount. But they have a lot of you know, reasons why they wouldn't want to do that. I mean, they want to get a certain amount out at a certain amount of time because that helps their quarterly earnings, and it actually gets stuff into market, and it shows that they're a competitor to NVIDIA. And you know, these next 2 months are going to be very, very important for AMD and its partners to be able to get these cards out if they want to take any kind of market share, because we had rumors of, there's going to be 300,000 3080s that are going to be dropped on November, and so far we have seen no such thing. NVIDIA and Newegg, you go onto there, and it's you can get fully pre-built machines, and I think the cheapest one that I saw with like a 3070 is a $14.99 product. You can get those right away, but you can't get the cards by themselves, and so this is a big big hill that AMD and all of its partners and NVIDIA and all of its partners, they've got to climb. Jeremy, your thoughts?
Well, their back end is not in good shape either. And, specifically for the graphics cards and the CPU I'm waiting for as well. But same goes for your rowing machine or your next Logitech wheel. These supply chains got screwed up back in January. They don't just rebuild in the space of a couple of months because you end up waiting for, bottleneck components that are still stuck. And, we're getting better. Hopefully, fingers crossed. But, the supply chain has been so devastated throughout the entire part of it that, it's not just one single company's fault. It could be Nichicon or whoever they're sourcing their capacitors from. It could be the people making the PCBs, for crying out loud. It is horrible. I'm at least as upset as everyone else about not being able to buy the silicon that I want. But at the same time, I have to understand that along with, the increased demand, as Josh is talking about, supply has really, really been run through the ringer because there are certain parts that it just takes a while. It's like when you have a factory fire, like which drive company was it?
MSI?
I'm sorry, MSI. I was thinking of the old the flood at Seagate.
Yeah.
When you shut one of those down, you might be able to open it up again in 3 or 4 months, but that's just to do the repairs because these fabs aren't something you just sort of stop and then come back to in a month and fire up again, like a car in your garage. The serious amounts of work has to go into getting everything up and running again. So it's frustrating, and I feel you, but at the same time, it hurts. But there's good reasons why we're dealing with all these shortages.
Yeah.
That's true.
So, Sebastian, did you give it an award? I mean, do you want to talk about the physical presentation of these cards? Because there's a kind of interesting spec and picture that you took of especially the 6800 XT.
You mean the thickness?
It's thick and it's heavy.
Oh yeah, it's true. I don't think I have a picture in the review of the card on a scale. I think I posted that to Discord, but it's the XT. If you look at the actual card, it's a nice 3-fan design, and you look at the thickness. First of all, from the side, these basically look like RTX 20 series graphics cards. It's that same inset here. Now, the top one does. The 6800 looks very much like, and it feels very much like a NVIDIA product from last generation. But, obviously with the 3 fans, this thicker guy down here, this is the 6800 XT, and this is 3 pounds and 5 ounces of just dense GPU, because it's still just a conventional 10.5-inch long graphics card. This is a 2.5 slot design. The 6800 is a completely normal 2-slot design. What's odd about this is actually there's no ventilation on the back whatsoever. These just have like a Radeon logo stamped into the bracket back here below the display ports.
That looks weird, doesn't it?
Yeah, because all of the air has to come out of the top and the bottom. And so
I was a little surprised at the 3 monitor ports, actually. Usually
That
you
where
see
all the
4
BTUs go?
Right into your motherboard.
yes.
Usually, I'm not sure the rationale behind the USB-C, of course. I mean, that was I
VR.
guess, ostensibly there. Well, originally, yes, but I think the consortium, behind that and the couple of devices that actually took advantage of that for, real, using the special protocol that they had, I think they're no more. I'm not sure I understand the inclusion.
Maybe
Just
it was
pointing
just
it out.
planned that way earlier
No
on.
idea.
Who knows?
Yeah, it is a little odd that it's 2 DisplayPort and 2 HDMI, because that kind of changes things up for triple monitor.
2 and 1. 2
Oh, is it? Oh,
two
two of them.
DisplayPort.
Is
Yeah, that's why it was interesting. Is that usually you see 4, three of one, or 2 and 2. Instead, it's just 2 DisplayPort and 1 HDMI, and that it's mysterious USB-C.
But the more mysterious issue. Let's get into this briefly because
Okay.
I was responding to a tweet earlier about this, and there's something going on here with the Radeon logo itself, and the 6800 has a red logo that is backlit, and the 6800 XT has an opaque plastic logo that is also backlit, but you would think that the opaque plastic versus red would be because this is an RGB logo. Now, Wendell from Level 1 Tech said that just for a moment, when you first power on the machine, kind of cycles through different colors. I don't know if that's just because that's how it's creating the red or what, but there is also apparently a place on the PCB for like an RGB header out that is not in use. So we could have had a RGB Radeon logo on these, and we just don't. So we may have to wait for
What a
partner
missed
cards.
opportunity.
I know. As you know,
Yeah.
ARGB, it's a huge part of the performance picture, the overall.
It adds like 3 frames per second when you have it enabled.
It's like a
Equal to rage mode.
Yeah, it is. It's because it needs extra power, so it draws extra power from your board to power the ARGB lighting, which in turn increases the power limit by 2.8%. So
So did you use rage mode when you benchmarked, or is this going to be something you're going
it,
to do later?
it's gonna
He's
be a
going to
follow-up.
revisit this in the DLSS
'Cause
review.
I want to do I want to do ray tracing, overclocking, especially overclocking the memory, and rage mode. I did some rage mode testing with the 6800 XT, and then I was having some weird issues. Like I enabled rage mode, I'd go into a game. I went into Far Cry 5, and I remember like, why is this? The mouse isn't. And I looked, and it was 15 frames per second inside of Far Cry 5. And I also had some weird regressions in Metro Exodus where it was like 90 something frames the first run and 28 frames the second run. So I was like throwing out benchmark results using display driver on installer. I think this is just young driver issues plus me switching graphics cards on the same driver install kind of stuff. So
Oh,
I lo-
God, that.
yeah, I decided to just I need to clean install, put
All the
more
things,
mature drivers on there when they come out rather than just these beta drivers that were released to media on like the 6th or maybe the 8th of November. So they're very young, and then we'll revisit this and do more testing. But unfortunately right now, it's the issue with this launch is not performance. The performance is outstanding. The issue is just availability. So we can keep beating a dead horse. Yeah, these cards, if you do this and if you overclock them, and I'm just going to read angry comments about not being able to buy them anywhere. So
Hey, as far as ray tracing goes, it is important to note that they do have hardware ray accelerators on there. I don't know exactly how that equates to the hardware that's on,
They
on
sorta
NVIDIA's
do.
Do we want to
cards.
bring this
They
up,
say-
Brett?
Well,
well, okay. If you look at the reviewer's guide at their slide decks, yes, I guess there's one per CU or
yes,
something like that. So like
Yes.
six.
What I read.
Yeah.
I read that. Yep.
But
Did you stumble upon any of the reviews that did like the Minecraft beta ray tracing?
Oh, yeah, it's
and-
very version one.
Oh, it's not good.
Not good. It's not.
It's,
No.
it's
there are known issues with this press driver too. There was a list including some DXR stuff. That's why I wasn't going to go out of my way. Like, if I have to clean install this thing, why do that for the press driver that already has issues? We need to do a follow-up.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's hard to do everything day one. Like, you want everything. You want overclocking results. You want the teardown. You basically want what Gamers Nexus does. But unfortunately, I can't devote the same amount of time that they can. Like, these are crazy guys who will spend like an entire day and night. And like Steve
You need
Burke has
to
been
develop
sleeping
a
on his
certain
couch in
habit.
the office.
You need to make more money. Than
Well,
maybe you
that
do.
too.
I would need full-time daycare as well because I'm,
Yeah.
the dirty secret about PC Per is that the guy who does all the benchmarking is also a full-time dad who does this at night in my spare time. So
and
it's
he
like, how
won't
late do
use
I
the
wanna
kid for
stay
child
all the time?
labor.
Right.
Not yet, just because I can't.
He's too busy making sneakers.
Oh, okay. That's
Look, I can't buy
It does
the
make
ones
you
I need.
heroic, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, anything that we can't buy, just have him make. So that's
Yeah.
fine.
So let's call it close to this one.
Yeah.
Overall, very positive. Did it get an award?
I gave it the old EC, Josh.
Nice, editor's choice. Yeah. Well, you know what?
And then-
Again, I cannot.
By the way,
Go ahead.
I gave it the editor's choice, and was subsequently called an AMD shill in the comments. So.
Yeah.
I was.
So
this
you
reads
should
like
have put up a
PR.
notice. Yeah.
Boy,
I don't know if you've noticed-
The editor's choice. Go ahead.
You can't give out editor's choice without taking flack
Hold on,
now.
Hold on. I know.
ahead.
It's dangerous. It's dangerous to do that.
because we were accused a couple weeks ago for being NVIDIA shills because we were
You missed the be
skeptical
quiet
of the
shills.
numbers. Yeah,
Yesterday.
yeah.
No, Be Quiet Shills
Yeah.
too. You know,
Lord.
if you look back at the history of PC hardware review sites, go to Internet Archive and look at old hard OCP pages and look at anybody, and there are banner ads and sidebar ads. That was the old internet. Banner ad and sidebar ad. And PC hardware review sites. Well, actually, Linus had a good video about this a while back, like how much money do they make, where does the money come from, that kind of stuff. And his has gone from where they relied on the vendors within the industry for income. Like if you're reviewing power supplies, you have an advertising deal with Seasonic or a power supply maker like that. Now it's, for them, they can go outside of the industry and get separate ad buys through their ad agency if it's internal or whatever they're using. Kind of like Anantech. They work through a much bigger publishing company, Perch Media, I think, and so they have a separate ad agency that does ad buys, and they might do an ad buy with Ford. They could have a Ford or maybe a GM car as their featured ad. That has nothing to do with PC hardware, but they're big enough they don't need to worry about that anymore. Whereas smaller sites, and I mean all of the sites that are independent or even the medium-sized sites, they still rely on industry advertisers because that's the target market. So if we're a PC hardware review site, we're going to have PC hardware companies advertising on it. So anytime you review something, there's always that gray area wait a minute.
There's only so many mattress dollars out there.
That's very true. And I love
True.
to sleep on one
That's
of
true.
those every night and talk about it. But yeah.
That's coming.
It's just not the reality.
Yeah. Oh,
It's coming.
You keep on saying it's coming,
All right.
Brett.
It's not scheduled yet.
Okay. All right.
All right. So anyway, let's move on to the next subject, and this is one that was kind of interesting. It came up today. NVIDIA announced their earnings, and they were monstrous.
Yes.
$4.7 billion in revenue. That's the very max they've ever made. I mean, last quarter was the max they ever made, and that was $3.8 billion. They've improved that by $900 million. And so, yeah, they're kind of kicking it. And we saw a massive increase, $600 million from their Q2 to Q3 just in gaming. So that's all their video cards. That's their Switch stuff. And then their data center went up to $1.9 billion just by itself. And that includes Mellanox. But when they kind of factor in their 70% growth over the year in data center, which is just massive. That's amazing. 13% of that revenue was extra revenue is Mellanox. And so, I mean, their new cards going into the data center stuff and their DXG servers and all of that, I mean, that's a significant amount of money that NVIDIA is making. And it's very close to how much they're making in gaming. I mean, if you look back in last year of Q3 fiscal year 2020, because NVIDIA has really strange fiscal years, they were doing 16.6 billion, no, 1.66 billion in gaming, and their data center was only 726 million. And now those two are almost even, and they've grown to be a $4.7 billion a quarter company. And they made something like, I think it was 1.2 billion in net revenue, 1.3 something very close to that. But I mean, that's a huge amount of money that NVIDIA has never seen before. I mean, they've had good quarters before, but they've never had a quarter like this. And to say that, the PC gaming market is dying, I just don't see it. And again, these are numbers that are heated up by, the pandemic. You got people staying at home. They probably spent less money and going out and doing things and going to concerts, and so they actually have some money if they still have a job, extra money that they can afford these things. And so they're buying them. And this is why in between scalpers and people who really truly want this stuff, we're seeing just unprecedented demand for this high-end computer hardware so people could play games. And then you also have places like my work who actually will take a 3090 and put it in production for machine learning. We just got a Lambda Labs machine in last week. We plugged that in, got it on the network, and it was in production within 5 hours of us getting it. And a guy was hammering on it. And let me tell you, that thing puts out a lot of heat with two 3090s, and it pulls a lot of power. But I mean, these are the buys that we're seeing. It's not just regular people, because so many small and mid-range businesses that can't really afford the big data center stuff. I mean, they're relying on like a 3080 and 3090 for doing a lot of the machine learning, and the Tensor cores are great for all of that. And the performance that we get with these cards versus just regular CPUs, I mean, it's night and day. People are doing matrix transformations at 1,000 times the rate of a fast CPU. It saves so much time and money. And their CUDA stack, their software stack, is really second to none. And so people like to use that because you have all these tools available, and it's well known, and it's well supported. And who would have thought that NVIDIA would be
They
a
sold
gaming company?
100% of their stuff. Like imagine turning to your boss and so how much of it's stuck in the pipeline? Nothing, boss. We sold every single one.
Yeah,
And
I
then
mean,
some.
they've still got a lot of 2000 supply, and that's going to be out there, and they're going to eventually have to start. They're going to have to eventually start selling that stuff off at a lower price, and to just get it out of the channel. But this was their third quarter, and we still have the fourth quarter coming up, and the fourth quarter should eclipse this yet again. We're looking at well over $5 billion that they'll make in a quarter, and a lot of that is going to be gaming and data. Well, I mean, that's all they do. I mean, auto has just kind of always gone down, but data center and gaming, I mean, that's driving the company, and data center is increasingly starting to be in the driver's seat because the margins are great, and the need is there. What do you guys think?
If only they were advanced enough that they could actually program the auto to go out for groceries for you and come back with them, they'd be making even more money.
Yeah, well, sky's the limit for them. I mean, they're an aggressive company with, some pretty knowledgeable people there and the technical know-how. And it's they really are. I mean, AMD has come a long ways in the past 3 years. But NVIDIA really is, I think, a bigger competitor to what Intel is trying to do than AMD is right now. That may change, and certainly AMD is making some noise with the CPUs, and especially Zen 3. But we have yet to see those Milan-based EPYC
Soon.
processors. Yeah, soon, but they have a long way to go yet to be able to have the software ecosystem supporting the Radeon graphics on the data center. So,
No,
Sebastian,
the only one that
you're
could
gonna
have
say
stolen
something.
money. Sebastian next, but the only one that
go
could have
ahead.
stolen money from NVIDIA in sort of the data center, well, they just kind of bought them.
Yeah.
Hey, that's what's nice about having money in the bank. I was going to mention that we have a sponsor this week, but I'm not the host. I'm just jumping the gun.
Hey,
here a
let's
little bit.
move on because hey, we have a sponsor tonight. We have we need to thank LinkedIn Talent Solutions. Find the right person with LinkedIn Jobs. I'm assuming you've got
Yeah, well,
you've
I'm
got
sure
some
Brett will be
Spoiler
sending
alert,
me
it's not us.
yet another ad read. Yeah,
You're right. Yep. And it's not me. I mean, it will be me, but I mean,
okay.
it's not me.
The
You know what I mean?
the visuals over these ad reads are going to get less and less complex with every new revision of it that I have to make.
You do a good job. Let me just leave it at that.
All right. We're an hour and 15 minutes into this puppy.
You
Let's
can trim.
Let's
Hey,
move
we don't
along.
Have to read every story.
We can trim.
Josh.
I do want to ask Josh one more thing about NVIDIA is how is their multicolored spatula business doing?
Oh, good question.
it's a growth industry.
Okay.
Did they mention
It's gotten
that
a lot of
as
recognition lately.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
They're opening up a whole line of spatula cities across the United States, soon into Mexico and Canada.
It's good to be on a growth curve. Invest.
Yes.
Hey, people are staying home. They need spatulas. I need more spatulas. I don't know where to
You
go
know
to
what?
get them.
Yeah.
NVIDIA can help.
Spatula.
Spatula City. Spatula City. Spatula City.
Spatula City.
You're sounding a little bit
few
infomercial.
people
with that,
have-
Mike.
Have you ever
They got
watched
short
UHF?
memories or
Come
poor
on, Weird Al.
taste.
Yeah. Weird Al. UHF. Go watch it. It's worth it.
Yes, seriously, homework tonight.
Supplies closet.
If you or else you will drink from
Anyway.
the fire hose.
Yes. All right. Moving along, Jeremy, I think that you posted this bit of news contrasting Intel and AMD. I have not actually seen this, so you'll have to talk about it.
Okay, so my disappointment at the beginning was that they didn't start out long enough ago for me. I mean, most of their stuff. I mean, it started back in what was it, 2007. So you miss out on AMD being the first company to hit and break the gigahertz barrier. But what they did do was highlight a very interesting time where what we saw was AMD, sort of putting out, and God, I'm looking for my cheat sheet here because I need it. It's been a long time since I've talked about Penryn. So you start out from the back in 2001, the Pentium 4 2 gigahertz. This is the XP, and it was
Hello?
hopping back and forth. Hello.
Hold on. Can we?
You'll have to repeat that.
Yeah, there was
Because-
a very interesting effect just happened, but I think you're still there.
What did I do?
I don't think you did anything.
Yes, no?
Can you hear us?
Yeah, you're back.
Yeah.
You're back. And Penryn was the topic.
Yes. So way back in the long ago years of 2001, where the Pentium 4 2 gigahertz was taking on the Athlon XP 1900 Plus, it was one core. We didn't refer to it as one core, one thread because, well, hyperthreading wasn't a thing yet. That was next year. That was 2002. And at that point, you got your second generation of Athlon XP. So what we sort of look at is the interesting times from 2001 till about 2006, where it was a toss-up, and Ars Technica put together some lovely graphs sort of showing you what's going on in the market at the time and how relatively close the two are. In fact, if you look at some of them, in a lot of cases, AMD was at the top. But then something happened. When the Pentium 4 died and the Extreme Edition came out, Intel sort of just started jumping up. And they took a huge lead that most people, are probably very familiar with because, well, it's sort of where you may well have started. But then all of a sudden we got into multi-core, which was interesting. There were actual times where, you'd buy a quad-core desktop, and in single-threaded performance on a benchmark, you would get great results. When you multi-threaded it, It's dropped. And this is not because, it was trying to do something more. It was just literally multi-threading made things worse. Then the dark times came. Then about 2013, it just got freaking boring. You had the pile driver arrive and not leave, and you had Intel not really doing anything for a long time. And so, Josh and I and Ryan and the old gang from about 2013 till, what you say, about 2017 or so, Josh, there was nothing worth talking about. Things came out that were new, but they were, to say they were iterative isn't even nice. Like, it was a doldrums.
How many Skylakes did we see and still kind of see? In between 2009 and probably 2018 is the top end was a quad core 8 thread, and that was it.
Yeah, and never moved.
Yeah, a 3770K still viable.
Yeah, it's a 6600 that I'm retiring in the backup computer if I ever get a new chip. But then things became exciting again. Now we're starting to see Ryzen arrive, and we're looking back, when it initially started, it was like, this is going to be amazing. It's great right now, but it's not yet. But then Ryzen 2 came out, and we're like, oh, these guys know what they're doing. There's going to be something happening. And then at the very end of the charts, as you can see here, on just about every single one of them, you've got the Ryzen 3, the Ryzen 5000 family has jumped ahead of Intel. And so you've gone from, and this is one of my favorite things, this chart here. You sort of see, this is a change of the Intel's fastest enthusiast CPU this year to the one previous. How much better did it get? And so there was a huge jump back in the old days. It was 3 times as good. And then it was pretty much the same, except for Intel originally starting their hexa-core and then bailing on it again. And then you can see it Zen and this huge spike, and Zen 2 and a good spike, and Zen 3, another beautiful spike. It sort of shows you what's happened, for us that have been here for the long term over the years, and gives us an idea of what we're going to see in the coming generations, which is, for the most part, Intel is a very relatively flat slope. And they slowly get better. They don't, until recently, tend to move their architecture and their process. Those were locked in step. Whereas AMD was, they'd have huge bursts, which would then, peter out as the turtle kept going. And again, and a burst, and again, and a burst. So, I don't know, and Josh, I might be completely talking at my arse at this point, but, isn't that sort of the difference? Is that Intel has been slowly, iteratively getting a little bit better, not in an exciting way, except for a couple of times. Whereas AMD, there's disappointments, and then there is just rushes of adrenaline as they go nuts and produce something amazing.
Yeah, it's kind of the indicative of the workforce of AMD. It's still a much smaller company. They make far less money, and so Intel is able to invest in engineers. And even though I've kind of heard some horror stories as of late, especially with people who have been at the company a long time, they get into their late 40s and suddenly, they're getting pushed out the door, and they're losing a tremendous amount of mind share just because of the way that they do employee evaluations. It's kind of brutal. It'd be interesting to see if any of that changes here with Swan, but definitely during BK time. It was slow, steady improvements because they didn't have any competition. And why did they need to invest in all this stuff? And hey, we're going to be really aggressive with some of our process technology, and then that didn't work out multiple times. And so it is interesting to see that AMD is providing some much needed impetus to the market, And it really seems like their chiplet technology is going to be the future going forward, because if you look at just design, all of Intel stuff is monolithic dies. And you've got multiple technologies in there that may not fit well with the process tech. And that's why Intel has their CPU design guys work very, very closely with process. So you can kind of iron out some of these things and you'll get a well-performing overall chip. But now that 10 nanometer is so delayed and there's issues with it, that they that they had to backport to 14 nanometer with this next generation stuff, and it's going to be interesting to see. But yeah, with AMD, it's like, well, I'm going to work on these new CPU cores. I only have to work on this chiplet, and we can validate it, and we can do all these things. All the stuff that may be a little bit harder, like memory controller, I/O stuff, SATA, PCIe, which the signaling may not be as amendable to a smaller process that is a little bit more energy efficient, may not be, transistor switching will be the same. But I mean, it's like, it's mixed signal stuff is where issues really arise on process tech, that they can more focus on maybe an older, less leaky transistor technology for these things, because you don't really care. I mean, they're very, very cheap chips to make, and you don't gain any performance by going to a smaller process technology. So yeah, AMD is they're hitting on all cylinders, and they're executing, and they're releasing product, and they're gaining market share, and it seems like that they continue to increase the wafer starts a month for their products, and it's going to be nice to finally be able to buy a 5000 series CPU again one day.
Well, I mean, I bought it. It's just still on back order.
Damn. What do you guys think? I mean, this a little interesting internet history of. It's kind of interesting to see the ebbs and flows of the two companies, especially 2000. 98 through 2000 was a very important part for
Yes.
AMD. I mean, going K6 kept them in the game, but K7 and its derivatives were really what allowed them to be a true competitor.
And yeah, for the young folks coming into it who Intel has always had the performance crown, worth taking a read, because it's actually not true.
We've gone back in time, because there was a period, 15 years ago, where if you were an enthusiast, you had an AMD system, period. It wasn't just price performance, it was straight up performance leadership back then in like 2003, 4.
Yeah, and I
Those
mean,
Athlons.
the thing, yeah, the Athlon 64s were great, and especially because
Well, and the
AMD was
those chips and good.
yeah,
Yeah,
Durans. Anyway, but anyway,
Right.
throughout most of that time, AMD was at a disadvantage in terms of process technology. They were stuck at a full node behind for pretty much all that time than Intel, but their design was just so much better that the Athlon 64 versus Pentium 4 was just, I mean, Northwood was probably the last good Pentium 4, where power was not an issue, had good performance, transistor counts was low, and then up came Prescott, aka Press Hot, and they exploded transistor counts. And even though they had more features and technology in there, it ran extremely hot. It still didn't solve a lot of the problems with the Pentium 4 architecture, and AMD just wiped the floor until Core 2 came and smacked them upside the head in 2006.
Still better than Pentium 3.
Hey, but
I don't know.
sort of, it was Pentium 3, right? Because Pentium 3 was the basis of the Pentium
Yes.
M,
Yeah.
which became
Yep.
Core.
Yeah, this is what Merom and I can't remember all
Yeah.
the code names back at the time.
Well, that's when every
Benias.
AMD rep talked about IPC. IPC was everything.
Yeah, but that was the Israeli design faction who went with the mobile and decided, hey, we can't have these super long pipelines. We're getting killed in latency. I mean, it'd be nice if we can get up to the clock speeds, but so far process technology is not allowing us to hit these 6 to 10 gigahertz that is needed to be able to hide some of the limitations of the architecture, and we obviously never saw that. It was to top of 4 gigahertz with the Pentium 4, which is still stinking fast during the time in terms of clock speed, but yeah, performance was just not there. All right, moving along. Microsoft custom security chip. Well, that sounds exciting because you trust all of your security to one company, software and hardware.
Yeah, hey, it takes security to the next level. It takes PC protection.
They're literally talking root of trust too, which is just insane.
That's a quote. That's actually in there.
Root of trust?
Yeah. Think like a root certificate, but even worse when it gets compromised.
I thought while I was reading this article that, my gosh, this reminds me of, what was that other manufacturer? Oh, Apple. The T2 chip. Oh, yeah, I remember that. They're having an issue with that and a security problem that's not fixable because it's burned into silicon. Huh. And then I get down to the last paragraph or something like that, and it was just like, just like the T2 chip from the Apple or from Apple Macs, who are also suffering from a problem. I'm like, yeah, that could probably happen. They're trying to go down the same or similar road. I mean, that's what Apple uses it for too, is encryption and sort of root-based security and anti-tamper basically baked right into the motherboard.
Whatever happened to Palladium?
That's
Or it
a
became
name I
KPM,
haven't
and-
heard in a long time.
There's a reason.
Oh,
All right,
actually,
well,
another good observation was just made that if they go ahead with this, that Linux is going to get kicked in the teeth
Yeah.
because they have a very difficult time passing this. I mean, they had a really difficult time with UEFI originally. Remember that?
Well, Secure Boot was
God,
yeah.
Yeah.
But Microsoft is a little bit Linux addicted lately.
True.
They're really, realizing that, much like this is not the year the desktop computer dies, this is not the year of Linux, but it's getting better. You can go out, you can buy a Red Hat instance on Azure. They are baking it directly into some of the server instances that you can get. So I think they finally realized that, no, this thing isn't going to go away, nor should it. And that maybe they should sort of accept it a little bit and stop trying to kill it off because it ain't going to die.
This thing that actually runs everything behind the scenes isn't going away, says Microsoft.
No. Strange, isn't it?
So why not embrace it? They don't have to put in all the time and effort into creating new operating systems to steal all your data. They
And
can
besides, when you open the support
leech
ticket,
on.
they say, "Oh, screw it. Don't you go talk to somebody who knows the program."
Talk to the community, guy.
as they say in the
Exactly.
military, embrace the suck.
Yes.
All right, moving along. Android phone home? Question mark.
Android.
Yeah, this is. Oh,
Do know what now? Or would that be harm?
Oh, I'm not. I don't even remember what Larry and them promised way back in the day, but it was do know something. It's coming possibly to a class action suit near you, because from the looks of it, the 4 separate cases in 4 separate states in the U.S. have been accepted by a judge, and they will be appearing before the court. Someone decided to test a brand new Galaxy S7. They signed into a Google account, because, I mean, good luck getting out of that when you're setting up your phone, and then just left it sitting. It reached out to Google 16 times an hour to the tune of about 4.4 megabytes every day. That's just with nothing going. Now, if you're in North America, you've got shitty data plans. It didn't care if there was Wi-Fi or if it was a cell signal. It still phoned home 16 times an hour and chewed up your data plan. So if you're on a limited data plan, this kind of sucks. If they just left Chrome open and running in the background, it doubled to almost 9 megs a day. If you used it normally as a phone, it went from 9 megs to about 12 megs. So normal usage offered a significantly less amount of data usage than just the phone being turned on. Now, this is quite frustrating because this does cost money for people that are on a limited data plan, and there's not a bloody thing you can do about it to stop it. So, of course, the argument is that, well, you've signed up to Google's terms of agreement, and I'm sure you read every single word of it before you said accept and go the hell away. But they actually had some people look into it and see, what is it that this traffic is doing? And this is the really dirty part about it. And we were talking earlier about how websites need advertising money to survive. So a bunch of this traffic is preload ads, which never show. You never see this on your phone. But the person who's paying Google for their ads gets dinged as if it was a view.
Sweet,
Nice,
I guess, for
right?
them. Yeah. Hey, didn't this guy who
So now you're
figured
paying
this
for
out,
something that no one ever saw.
didn't he have his data plan turned off as well?
Oh, I suspect so.
Yeah, so it was like data plan off, and he had like either
Yeah.
Wireshark or some sort of network
Yes.
snooping device to like, why am I
Well, he had
accruing
that
these
stuff
data
and everything
charges
going.
on my phone when I have it turned off? What the hell is
Yeah.
it doing? So that was where this sort of came to light.
Yeah, and sorry if I didn't specify. This is Wi-Fi disabled, cell phone their cell signal disabled. It's still chewing up your data plan. So
That's dirty.
one, this is just dirty pool left, right, and center. And I mean, if you could snoop on an Apple phone, I'm sure you'd find the same thing. So yeah, no, this is just ridiculous. And for us, it's like we'd be charged for advertising to all of these phones that never saw our ad.
But they're enhancing your experience. The reason they need a phone home is for things like verifying that that you're in a specific location to check your time zone and make sure that's right on your phone.
That's
Are
fine.
your software packages up to date?
Right, they need to
go
Google
check them.
Play
Yep.
needs to check to make sure that all of your software is up to date. However many times an hour, 16 times an hour. That's fine.
Yep.
That's all it is.
Yeah, not only that, but always the stories about the guy turns to his wife and says, we need some wicker furniture for next summer, and then he goes to Amazon, and suddenly wicker furniture things start popping up in your ads, and
That does
I don't
happen.
know.
That has happened
does
here
happen.
in this house.
That's when I feel like smashing the device. I really do sometimes.
yes, device smash.
Yep.
Anyhow, yes,
Have you
we're being
considered
watched.
not buying them?
Big Brother's not who we thought he would be.
No,
Worse.
Big Brother is not something that was forced upon you. You actually went out and bought it for yourself.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
suck.
Hey, Josh, you know what? We are being watched by 354 concurrent users according to my real-time analytics.
Hey, that's not too bad.
God, we're sorry.
Hello.
I feel bad for them because they're getting the non-polished product, if you know what I mean.
We can't. Yeah, this is going to get a minimal polish at some point tomorrow.
All right, so moving on, Star Wars Squadrons getting a big update. If you actually purchased it, which oddly enough I did a couple of weeks ago because it was on sale for like $26, and then I added some extra things, and it was like $24 by the end. And for a brand new title, $24 is pretty cheap. So what are we getting? I know that we're getting a B-wing fighter finally.
Hooray!
Yeah. Actually, Jeremy, I don't know if you read this or if you knew about this, but what they're doing is they're adding
I'm
two
so
new
mad.
maps. Stop being mad. Stop it.
You guys
They're
got a
adding-
deal you bought it for $5, and that deal did not
that's
happen in
right.
Canada.
Not in Canada. Not north of the
Yeah.
border. Well, Josh and I bought it for $24 anyways. But my Origin installer still sucks. We can talk about that later. But anyway, assuming I get it installed someday, I'm going to be downloading I think it's next couple weeks from now. The first update is going to include 2 new maps, and it's basically part of the single player campaign, which is going to be turned into multiplayer maps. So I guess the Fostar Haven, and there's another map that's going to be turned into a multiplayer map, and they've reconfigured them so that it's appropriate to have a fleet battle on there as well as private battles. As Josh pointed out, the B-Wing, the updated B-Wing, actually with the maneuverable cockpit and movable wings, are going to be added. and the TIE Defender, which is a ship with shields from the Empire side. That's going to be added as a fighter. The B-wing is going to be added as a bomber, and they've already made a statement to say they're definitely going to be balancing this out. Copy protected content. The hell happened there?
Damn you, Disney!
I'm having an
Damn it.
HDCP issue with my capture card. So
Yeah,
I unplugged
that's
and
a very
replugged a minute ago, but
that's an interesting smack across
Throw
the face
them
for
out some
technology.
Bitcoin. It'll go away.
Anyway,
Hey,
the last.
Just as
The
long
last
as they don't
one's
have the bomber from the last Star Wars with the gravity
it's-
bombs.
Yeah, let's not go into that.
It's a very good.
Yeah.
Anyway,
son of a gun.
The community was actually holding some sort of impromptu, I don't want to say, like customized 5-on-5s with, they were trying to set it up so that the right people were getting together to kind of shoot at each other for a while, just like regular games where you can sort of have a private space where you have a couple teams get in there and hack it out. There really wasn't that available inside Squadrons, so they're making it so that you can have 1v1 all the way up to 5v5 in private areas now. So that's going to be included as well in the next two updates, version 3 and version 4. So they had EA promised, we're not going to update this, we're going to put it out there and that's it, and that the game is what it is and we're not going to update it. Well, you know what? The response from the community was pretty darn good. A lot of people bought it, including myself and Josh. So they were like, wow, people are enjoying this. Okay, we'll update it. We'll put in the things that you're asking for. And this was the handful of items that the community, they sort of gleaned from the community that were wanted the most. So they're adding them, which is nice.
That's nice. Yeah, we like
So
more
take
for
another
money
look at-
and get away from
Take another
DLC.
look at Star Wars Squadrons. Yeah. Now, if I can just get the damn thing to install freaking Origins, no. EA Origin, I'm upset with it right now.
No bueno. Gotcha. All right. We did have one other review this week. It is, oddly enough, from Be Quiet.
It is.
Maybe they were just yelling "Be quiet," shill.
They may have been saying that. Indeed, that is exactly what
Yes.
they probably meant. You're such a. Didn't you take money from these people?
Yeah. Anyway,
Yes.
so anyway,
I
it's a
thought-
case review.
It is a case review, and we received the white case, which I made a comment on. Two immediate comments. One, that this was heavy, very heavy, and it's part of its charm is that it quiets down things within, and weight actually helps that, damps vibration and keeps sound on the inside. The other thing is that, wow, there's a lot of white panels on this that's just begging for like Art Deco or, some sort of painting or something on it. So I thought it'd be a great canvas for an artist friend to do some damage to. And I invited people if they got this and they had somebody do that send them in and I would attach it to the review. But anyway, they include some very nice, they're Pure Wings 2 fans with it. It is a very generously sized case on the inside for all kinds of builds. You can invert the building of the PC within it. The back panel can be turned upside down for inverted builds. It comes with a fan controller, which works very well. It's Be Quiet branded. I'm not sure who's making it, but nice work. It worked very well. It has a PWM pass-through on the fan controller in auto mode. And that worked great. I stuffed an X299 board with 96 gigabytes of RAM in it and a 280 AIO and a water-cooled 2080 Super, and airflow and everything worked out good. I think the important thing to note with this, that I just mentioned airflow with this particular case, is Be Quiet has added the capacity to switch out the upper and front panels with their typical solid noise-reducing panels with panels that are perforated for additional airflow. I think 2020, if it, from a case perspective, had a lot of airflow going on, either stopping it or improving it. From a case perspective, anyway, improving it. So they provided these additional panels, and that definitely helped cooling. In my testing, I saw up to almost 9C of 100% fan cooling improvement between solid case and perforated case, or the case with the filters instead. Noise, of course, was way up on that. But cooling, very effective. Someone suggested that I try to noise normalize it and just kind of see where the heat went then. That would have taken quite a lot more time, unfortunately, more time than I had set aside for doing the case review on this one. But good idea all the same. I did run it at 100% to see how that worked out. I gave it the EC award because it was so configurable and had a lot of potential from and workability. The panels would come off, very easy to work in with water cooled, plenty of room. Construction was very high quality, decent metal, nicely painted. Panels were very nicely attached. Toolless, the way they popped on and off, front included. Room underneath. I only had a couple of quibbles with wiring layout where I had to pass some things through. A couple of issues with you got to be careful with not scratching it. And that was not a lot was to complain about here. It's big and heavy.
How much does it cost?
Without the tempered glass side panel, it's a little bit pricey, $160. With the tempered glass side panel, I think it was $170. If you want to check my numbers on that, I think I got that up at the top. So yeah, a little bit expensive, but it is a high quality case, and it's German, which I also made mention of and kind of understood where they were coming from.
Yeah, this is it. If you
So it means it's unnecessarily complex.
You know what? Did I say that out loud, or did I just agree with you?
Yeah, this reminds me of the last larger white case from them. I think it was like the something 500, Pure Base 500, or I don't remember, but it was the 700, the 700 white edition.
Yeah,
a couple years ago. Same thing. It was basically the same chassis design, but that one was a lot lighter than this. But this is built for silence. It's kind of that return to the high end for Be Quiet is always the ones with the thicker sound dampened panels. When they told me about this earlier this year that it was coming, I was excited just because it has the configurable panels, like you said. You can make it an airflow case, or you can keep it a silent case, and you get them both in one. So to me, $159 for both, especially if you're buying this. If you're going all out on the silence, you're going to want the solid side panel anyway, because it has the noise dampening material in it. Yeah,
and it does work. Mm-hmm.
And then if you want to pay $10 more and get the tempered glass, you're probably going to run it as an airflow case. At least I would hope, because otherwise you're not getting the noise reduction benefit as much, and you're still not getting the lower temps.
And I made mention of that. We don't have the TG panel, but I had guessed that you would trade some noise reduction for the TG.
Yeah, I would get TG and then open it up with the airflow. But hey,
I like the look of the airflow. I think it looks more attractive as an airflow style. That's just me. But again, if you're looking for, maybe you're doing audio production work, I wouldn't blame somebody for keeping it buttoned up and set aside. It would be a great case in a room that you needed to have a PC, a powerful PC that didn't put out a lot of noise, and it was definitely up to the task of doing that. It would run hotter, of course. You would have to probably tune your components to be maybe a little down tuning, maybe to make sure that you don't need that airflow if you have a particularly powerful PC. But you could do that, and it gives you the opportunity to really keep it quiet.
And it's also available in black. So if you just want the monolithic, quiet case, kind of like the old Antec cases for silence, I don't know. It's not cheap, but it looks like a pretty good case.
You know what my problem is with it?
Yeah.
No optical drive.
Yeah, they've let that go completely. Yeah. There are no.
Yeah.
I know.
I think it's just Fractal that
Sad.
offers that on their high-end cases.
Hey, definitely show that shot that I have with all the RAM modules on it, because I thought that one was.
That's a really good photo.
Scroll down there. And
last week we did this outrageous, semi-serious look at your photography.
Where's the plant?
I think you shied away from the plant this time.
No, that's not true. Scroll up a little bit, please. And literally keep going. And I prefaced it. Keep going. A little bit more. Scrolling up. Keep going.
Okay.
There we go.
There you
And
go.
I-
That's a
pause.
nice,
Subtle.
nice,
Subtle.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Read the text
Background.
above this picture.
Oh, it says "Be quiet." I'm reading the words.
Well,
"Be
no,
quiet."
no, it's a text on the page. You got
I
to
don't
connect.
see
You
any
got to
text
close
on
this
page.
image.
You mean like in the
You got to
browser?
close.
Like
hit the X.
the address bar.
Okay, you're really hosing me here.
Pause.
Pause for
Zen.
Zen.
Wait,
Please
but you didn't
arrest.
put Zen in this though. You made an Intel system.
Listen. No, stop. Listen. You're scrolling.
Hold on.
You got to go back up.
Go back.
Got to go back up. Please arrest your furious scroll for a few seconds to appreciate this picture with a plant. So that is your.
You guys
pause
have
for Zen.
gotten all crunchy. Step away from the crunchiness.
Hey,
I-
one
hey-
of the comments that I got was, "Hey, can we have like some dry ice fog machine and a plant on the
Oh,
inside?"
hey, you know what? That's great.
That's what I said.
Whoever said that?
I said it. It was Big Ted. I think
That's the next
Scroll-
frontier. Forget
Look at the-
dramatic
read
angles
the
and
comments.
plants.
Yeah, I
Bring
know.
on the smoke machine. By the way,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to go into a big photo critique or anything, and I have not talked to Brett about this review yet.
But
When I talked about the dynamic camera angles last week,
You did.
I didn't say make every photo have a dramatic camera angle. I got vertigo reading your review. I was scrolling too fast. Things are bent. They're this way. Things are that way. It's a lot. There's a lot of dynamic. If you have a weak stomach, you may want to take this review slowly. Look at it one image at a time. Don't scroll too fast. It's like a roller coaster ride for your eyes.
You know what? I didn't put that pause for Zen.
thank you,
in
Mr.
there
DeMille.
just because I was making it up. You need to.
And also, this is not in need of retro bright. This is not something from 1987. There's just, some
Give it a year.
inconsistencies with the white balance and the lighting here that make it appear that it's off-white or sun-stained. White is extremely hard to photograph in certain lighting conditions. So
Thank
just
you.
bear that in mind.
Thank you.
When you read this review.
It is extremely difficult to photograph evenly all the time. And to be honest with you, I made the mistake I have a panel of LEDs that were coming in from that side, and I made the mistake of leaving a filter on that particular one.
Yeah, you're not
Lord-
going to want to
Lord,
do that.
do
You're
you-
going to want to photograph white at
Stop,
4,400
stop.
Kelvin. Okay.
Stop. This is not.
I agree with you. I'm gonna
This is not
I'm gonna wholeheartedly
PC
agree.
photography perspective.
But people love it,
It
Josh.
kind of is.
Okay, Josh looks horrified.
Anyway,
He does. He does. We,
Right.
we should
Anyway.
have like a little YouTube session on this at some point. How
yes,
to take the right
you
picture.
should. You two
Yes.
should.
Yeah, just the two of
You
us.
two alone.
We'll live stream it and then we won't ever save it.
We
So
should
it'll just
like
be
pick up an object and go, how would you photograph this?
Yeah, exciting. So
Lord.
exciting. Sorry, Josh.
It's
Hey, you know what?
riveting.
You know what time it is? Do you know what time it is? It's time for PC part picker of the week.
No
Picks of the
sticker?
week, damn it.
Damn you,
PC
Colleen.
part picker. But you know what?
the
Hey,
week.
it's a valuable resource
Picks of the week, damn it.
that we all use.
It is. I'll go first because I'm first. The Samsung 970 Evo drives have been dropping precipitously. So for $250, and you can sometimes get this on sale, and obviously right now it's back ordered, the dirty buggers. But this is a great gaming drive for not a huge amount of money. And Samsung always has really good performance across the board, and the 970 Evo is certainly part of that. So yeah, 2 who'd have thought 2 terabytes for $250 from Samsung.
Dare I click on the 1 terabyte? Ooh, only $149.
Yeah, so if you think about it, it should be $300. So you're the more you buy, the less you pay.
So true.
Yeah. Anyway, who's next?
Uh-oh.
That would be
Switching
Jeremy.
cameras.
Oh, look at that.
Wow.
What do you got there?
Ooh.
That's an Antec P82 Airflow. Because while I don't really care about sound because of where it's positioned, that's one. I had to buy the 2 Noctuas. And another 3 in the front. So it comes with 4. It is on sale right now. This is tempered glass, by the way. I don't tend to buy tempered glass except was cheaper than the solid side panel version, so of course I went for it. And that right there would be where my Ryzen 3 would be, and that right there would be
Wait, you got a
where my
Ryzen 3?
6800 XT would be. Or
Oh,
my,
oh, you mean like
my Ryzen.
your Ryzen 5 5600? Okay.
Yes. That's
Or
where it would
5800.
be.
Let's see.
No, I went with the
I think you got
5800X.
Yeah, that's what
Okay.
I thought. He had a 5800.
Yeah.
75
But
bucks?
right now,
cheap.
it is literally cheap as chips. So up here in Canada, it's $75. Down in the States, it's just under 60, I think, with tempered glass. So if you don't particularly care about, it's all 140 millimeter fan, so it's not going to be loud, but it's going to be present. And it doesn't come with a fan controller; it just comes with a Y splitter. So those 4 fans are not PWM. There is no USB-C on it, if that really does make a matter to you. But at the price, it is ridiculously good for a system that you know is going to have a lot of high-powered components in it, and you don't want to have to deal with thermal throttling. And for the most part, you can't be arsed to play around with water cooling, because it will fit some ridiculously sized radiators in it as well.
I'm not seeing any optical drive bays.
Yeah,
This is the
I'm not sure you get a
problem.
420.
I
Can you
am
get that
very-
420 rad in there? I don't know.
Very upset that I had to give up so that only one of my systems is going to have an operating optical drive on it.
Yeah.
But for the price, it was like, yeah, I'm not really wanting to pay an extra $30 for that 5 1/4 bay.
Yeah.
Pretty handsome looking case for 59 bucks.
Yeah,
Especially
Yeah.
those fans.
it's sort of like what the Be Quiet that Brett reviewed, except it's the Walmart model.
I
the
don't
discount
think
model.
Antec would appreciate being called the Walmart model, but yes.
I think they aimed for, I think they aimed to cut some things out
So
of it
much
to make
for
it very
that
affordable.
advertising.
Remember when
It's
that?
okay. I gave it away for free right there.
Do you remember when they
Yeah.
hired that automotive design company and created that ridiculous
BMW level 10.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then there was another one that I got and reviewed. Actually drove down to the office and we did a video on it that I'm sure got dozens of views.
Raven? No.
No, that was Silverstone. This was
No,
some
it was
insane signature case, the S2, I think.
Yeah.
That's Silverstone.
$500. No. We're talking. It's a weird one-off Antec case. I still have it in my attic, and it's so big.
Oh,
and
I was
heavy.
thinking about the thermal take one. Was the BMW
Yeah,
design
They,
group?
they
that-
hired
Yeah,
their
it's
own
SRO2
automotive
or
designer.
something.
I
Yeah.
gotta find this now. This is what
Should
people
look it
up.
watch this for.
By the way,
Hey, you
Jeremy,
could always
the,
send it.
Show.
the Be Quiet case will take a 420. Just want to say that right up front.
Josh,
okay?
you-
All right.
Speaking of sending,
I
I will send it to you
I
as
think
long
we're
as you pay
limited
for
to 380
shipping.
on this.
And shipping on this case, given its size and weight, is probably about $80. You can just buy a
That's
case.
insane.
It's big
Yeah.
and heavy. Anyway,
All right, Brett. What is your
All right.
pick?
I picked an infrared temperature gun, a couple of them actually, because they're just so darn useful for doing spot checks inside of PC builds to say, how hot is this? How hot is that? Getting the room temperature, like picking it off the wall or the floor or, whatever. It's just much faster reacting. I think everybody should own one because don't touch stuff if it's hot and you can't tell by looking at it. So this is this is my cheap pick, I think. Yeah.
Hold on.
But-
Breaking news.
What?
Our own Josh Walrath.
I got the
Hey!
Bonjour for like $19. This is for cooking, but yeah, CPU testing.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's
Why-
awesome.
Why does my CPU
Nice.
tester say Bonjour?
I don't know.
Fine.
Whatever. Yeah. So
Find
I have
French
one
transistors.
very similar as well, and I just find it extremely useful. And anybody who works with stuff that they're not sure how hot it is, or they want to do some interesting knowledge learning about where their PC hotspots are, it's $20 for the cheap one. And if you click the next link over, I actually put in one that if you don't want to buy the Chinesium one, well, they're all made in China, probably. The next one over is one from Klein Tools without quite as many buttons. But name brand, Klein is a very good tool brand name, and I think that one is $40. So yeah, you have no excuse. Go get one of these.
They're cheap as chips.
$30. $30. Yeah, and way
Sebastian,
useful
do you-
and surprisingly accurate.
Sebastian, do you have a pick, or are you just slumming it this week?
Does it have a Celsius mode on it, by the way?
Yes.
Yes. You can
Yes,
swap
they do.
back and forth from Fahrenheit
Yep.
and Celsius. Hey, Sebastian,
Good.
you're muted. Can't hear a damn thing you're saying.
I clicked my audio thing. See, what I was saying was I can't even switch video properly this week, so
No.
I can't. I mean, somebody in Discord earlier said, "Hey, what's your Audible pick?" I recommend The Ultimate History of Video Games by Stephen L. Kent. It's a very interesting, comprehensive look at video games from their inception all the way to the 2000s console wars. So check that
Nice.
out. If you're looking for a book to listen to, we are not sponsored by Audible somehow.
Somehow.
And your hardware pick is a Stream Deck.
Yeah. So I can actually see, like, I would put a picture of each person's face on it and be like, oh, Brett's talking. Instead of hunting for it with the
I'd poke-
mouse and then closing
I'd
the
poke
window.
your head. Yeah.
Sebastian, the recommendation is to get larger buttons so that you can thump them. It might
Yeah.
make you feel
Yeah.
better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will
Yeah.
just have to screenshot what I'm seeing and show people how terrible this interface is. But most people use key commands or a Stream Deck or something, so I can't really complain. I'm using the mouse, which is the archaic method of controlling video.
We're going
But
to need a
effective.
new Ken.
Somehow. Yeah. Anyway,
Oh, no, not again! Hold on! Undo!
That is so cold.
That is
Cold!
ice cold. And he's gone. He got pissed. I bet he just.
Josh,
Oh my gosh.
just run.
He was
Just run.
He was just getting wound up too.
Come on! You put him,
Oh my god.
Josh doesn't even know that he's
No,
gone.
he's still talking. He's talking to himself right
I
now.
bet. Let me see. Josh, back channel 3. I swear I'm
So
not
this
doing
is
this on
what
purpose.
happens when someone else hosts
remember
instead
him.
of you.
I don't know
Josh,
why. It was
I remember
actually-
him well.
It was easier to do this when I was hosting for some reason, which is strange.
You're not multitasking enough. You were used to multitasking at a significant level, so that when you stop, you start thinking about doing things, and
Well,
I
you know
can
what?
do stuff
Honestly,
like that to
this
Josh.
microphone being in my face didn't help.
I quit.
Ah,
Oh no!
You know, I was just about to start my
Yeah.
long thank you about Josh's hosting abilities tonight. I was just about to roll into that about how good a job, how smoothly everything went. When suddenly,
the
Again.
I just
box.
I was talking, and I noticed everybody on there froze. And I thought, did they get ahead and just say, everybody do a freeze frame when he's closing?
Yeah. Oh my god.
I just did a print screen so you can see. Let me see if I can post this. That there is no space between your camera select button and close. There's like 1 pixel,
Well,
and then you've closed the source.
I live on remote desktop, and I know the exact problem.
If you're a
Looks
Yeah,
Discord
yeah.
3D
member, I'm
trying to
pasting
get my-
this into there. But anyway, yeah. Do you want to end this nonsense, Josh?
Josh got yeeted.
Well, I think Josh does.
All right, Josh.
All right. Thank you for watching. Maybe we'll do it again sometime.
Hey, see, smooth.
Smooth.
Professional.
Like there was no problem.
Like velour.
Oh yes. All right. Let me get my screenshot here. It's a good one too. Put it into the old Discord community.
You know, someone made a comment that that's why they come here to see this.
Oh, really?
I mean
Just to
that,
see the
or whatever that was.
nonsense.
Well, I mean,
Oh, absolutely.
it's
You never
very
know.
true.
Okay, so in our Discord right now, hold on. Let me.
I'm not even wearing that shirt. How did you know I even had that shirt?
Why was this saved? What am I doing here? Hold on a second.
Oh, I know what
apparently
that
you
is.
and Brett were having a personal time together.
were.
I know what that was. That was
You're talking
personal time.
photography.
Oh my
Yeah.
I
God!
can
You got to
see
delete
Sebastian's hands.
I don't even know why that's on here.
that. Checkmate.
Seriously, I just copied and pasted a screenshot, and it saved a different screenshot.
Hey, do you not remember all the clipboard vulnerabilities that are out there?
I don't even know why that's on the clipboard because I never screenshotted that.
Yeah,
As far
that's
as you
what
know.
she said.
As far as I know. Yeah.
Yeah, it's sending it to whoever
Hey.
the Discord or whoever.
What other pictures are you saving that nobody else knows
No,
anything
literally,
about?
I just pasted that again, and it's the
So
same thing.
Kareen's better at computers than you think, right?
Save as
Mhm.
JPEG. Save to. Okay, there was a file on the desktop called untitled. Paste. All right, now I'll put that into Discord and see what happens. All right, let's delete that one. Sorry, guys. Add this one. Yeah, apparently not. Oh no, there was something called capture, not untitled. I have no idea. All right, this
use
is what I'm
snipping
seeing. This
tool.
was what I saw tonight, and I'll put it on the stream. This is my interface that I have to deal with. This. Okay, so
That is a lovely UI.
if you, this is what
I'm
I
not
have to
confused
look
at all.
at to run this, and these little boxes. Maybe I can. I don't think I can resize them. These little boxes here are the different people. So there's Brett, Jeremy, Josh, me, the four of us together, and then the web browser. And there are these little buttons down here that say 1, 2, 3, and 4, and you can create a sequence. Like I always have the primary view as number 1, and I can layer on top of it. Like Josh starts talking, I click on number 2. That's Josh. Well, right above number 2 is the word close, and it closes him. So it happened two or
That's
three
nice.
times today.
Yeah, but
That's
how
To-
come
to
he's the only
Josh.
one?
You
How come
need
he's the only
Yeah.
one?
Stream Deck to switch between them because clicking on with the mouse is apparently my eyesight is failing. Actually, I know my eyesight is failing because my right eye is only about 60% right now because my son cut it with his fingernail a couple weeks ago.
Oh,
Again?
And that was my left eye the first time. This time it's the right eye. So now both of them have been cut by my son with his long fingernail.
At least they match.
Yeah. Well, this
Oh,
one's
that's horrible.
healed, and now this one I'm seeing double.
Oh, that one was a year ago or so.
Oh, that's no good.
It was.
Yeah, you need to go see somebody
CES
about that.
CES 2016 or 2017. I think I just could not see out of my left eye.
Oh, good God, 3 years ago.
Anyway.
Yeah, it's time
Be
for some
careful when
nail
handling
clippers.
your son. Please wear
We
safety
were
glasses at all
wrestling.
times.
Yeah.
And he's very aggressive. He had me by the neck, and
Things happen.
a fingernail went through my eye. It's you
Yep.
know, it's fine. I'm gonna stop the recording now.
It's better than a
right.
Zalman cooler.
Going through your eye. Yeah.
Yeah,
Finger.
or just touching one. Never touch the Zalman.
I reached
It wins.
over. I reached over to like I don't remember what. It was like some sort of childcare related activity while we were in the car, and I was in the back seat with him. This was shortly after he was born. Maybe he was like 3 months old. I don't remember. And he just reached out right into my cornea.
Oh, jeez.
More pain than I've ever experienced in my life, and it just wouldn't stop. It felt like I was
Yeah, eye
continuously
injuries
getting
are
bad.
awful.
Yeah.
And then I had to wait like 2 hours in the ER to be seen, just to have them say, "Oh yeah, it's cut. I can see it from here." Like,
Yeah.
Thank you for your considered
Yeah.
medical
ibuprofen.
opinion.
Here's-
It'll be fine.
Here's,
Put a
here's some-
Band-Aid
here's
on
some
it.
ointment.
Oh.
Yeah, no,
Wait, that
no,
doesn't work.
they'll
That
give
doesn't
you
work.
ointment, and that's
Yeah.
it. Make sure it doesn't get infection. It heals quickly, though, relatively.
Yeah.
Most
Anyhow.
of my vision
Comparatively.
returned within days.
Sebastian, you better take some time off.
Sure. Yes. I'll
Heal
take
up.
time off.
Yes, please.
Oh no, Corinne says that she's actually watching this right now.
Wrong.
Oh no.
It's
She's not
ridiculous.
watching it. She's listening because she's like right through the floor.
Oh.
So apparently she can hear me through the floor. We don't have carpet, so maybe that's why. There's a subfloor and a floor, and she can still hear me just fine. She has her ear to the floor at that.
It may well echo.
Oh, well.
Okay. Somebody's like, "Oh, so that means you can hear him better than us." You don't need to hear me. It's not your show. And I wasn't the host.
Apparently, you're quiet.
I was
now.
just in the background ruining everything for Josh.
I think we all
Yes.
took turns ruining it for Josh. I think.
Yeah.
You know,
That
Did
is
my
tradition.
frustration kind of show itself at times?
You wear your emotions on your sleeve, Josh. I think that's why people relate to you so well.
Yes.
I only had to be forcibly muted once.
Yeah.
So that's good.
Once.
I considered muting you a second time, and I'm like, no, I don't know if you can see that or not. If you can't see it, I'll do it. But if it shows like muted, then I'm like, oh, he knows that I'm muting him again.
No, I don't know. I don't know.
Corinne says, I listen every Wednesday because I have to. I'm like, well, you can always leave.
I mean, there are things like earplugs.
Yeah, there's noise canceling headphones in this house.
Yeah.
Use
Yeah.
some of those.
It's that easy.
Give it the
Sitting there
program,
on your
Corinne.
throne of ease, talking down to me through the floor via a chat, when you could just get some noise canceling headphones, which I don't even know where they are. So why would you know where they are?
Do you have a couch down in the basement yet?
No, that's going to happen though, because she went out and bought a new couch,
Oh,
and I have to.
I hate new furniture.
I don't
every
know
once
how
in a
I'm gonna get in
while.
the house because I'm seeing
I
pictures
know.
of this thing. It's like 90 inches long. And
Wow.
wider than my front door, so it's gonna have to come around and come through the back slider. And it's it's like 40 degrees outside. It's probably gonna be raining, and I've got to go pick it up.
Yeah, I've come home and there's furniture laying outside. We need to put this in house. Like, where do we have
Surprise!
room? Hate it.
If it was just being delivered, that'd be one thing. Oh, and the other thing, I'll bitch some more. This damn pipe. just
Oh my
outside
gosh, yeah.
here.
We need
Thank
a
you,
pipe
Soren.
update.
They
Pipe
are
update.
coming
That's great.
back to do even more damage because they want to put a new meter on, and my water meter's on the inside of my house with a wire that goes to the outside so they can view the water meeting, like the reading remotely. So they have to come into the house to put in a new meter and hook it up to the outside tomorrow. So after I get done here, because I'm like 1 foot away from this right now, I've got to take all of this stuff and move it because
Oh,
Because they
full
got to
access
drill
to this
through the
corner.
wall.
So and then my water's gonna be shut off again. So it's just the saga never ends. I chose this corner of the basement to set up like a little makeshift work from home office that was supposed to be temporary back in December of 2018. And once you get everything set up and like wired and everything, I'm like, oh, I'll just use this for a while. And it was the farthest corner away from everything, and it made sense. No, because then they had to put the frickin' water right under my desk. And
But don't worry, don't move the shelf. It's fine.
yeah,
That was dumb.
they piped around the shelf.
That's just amazing. That's significantly more work than just pushing the shelf away.
It's remarkably crappy. I might as well just turn the cameras.
Are you going to turn the camera? He's going to turn the camera.
Just look at this. I had a shelf here on the wall. That
I remember.
went this far, and so they put a pipe right up against the shelf. So now it sticks out.
Because that makes sense.
Really far into the room. You can't move it.
That's very anti-feng shui.
So now my old shelf
Also
is
true.
gone, and I'm not in frame anymore. It's the copper.
Oh, well.
Just the copper pipe. All right, whatever.
That's stupid. Damn stupid.
Well, I got nothing else to talk about. I'm talked out. I don't know
Hey,
about
thanks
you
for leading
guys.
the show.
Dory says that's
Thanks
the
for
weirdest
having me.
Super Bowl
Now
I've
I don't
ever
have to
seen.
do it again for another month.
Mm-hmm.
Well, unless you forget and volunteer again.
Mm-mm.
Somebody wants Ryan back. Okay. That's
Yeah, that happens every couple of days.
This is so nice to listen to while doing stats homework. You know what? Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, Nick says that's insane. Uh-oh. Well, I mean, it isn't. I don't think it's the code.
And
they brought in a
once
frickin'
you learn
number, and he
stats-
decided this was correct to have it a foot and a half away from the wall.
It's
For
a copper
reasons.
stripper pole.
Well, honestly, no. If you incorporated it into your water cooling system, it would make sense.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. This is the insanity. that I'm talking about. They brought out the pipe with an elbow to bring it around
Two.
the shelf that they told me not to move. Like, I can just move that shelf off the wall. Oh, no. We won't even be going anywhere near that shelf.
They
Oh,
didn't.
like you're going along the floor and then up? No. We're just going to go around the shelf. This
Then
is
let me
why
take
you-
the shelf down.
You never let anybody have full access to your basement when you're not
'Cause
there
it-
to see what they're doing. That's what I learned.
That's 2 elbows that I can see, and I bet you there's elbows up top to get back in.
Oh, there are. There's a 90-degree elbow, and it's just words.
The amount of extra work it took them on the part to kick your shelf out of the way is just ridiculous. I'm guessing they were working hourly.
Oh yeah, they made this thing take
Yeah.
a long time. Upsetting.
Next up on PC Perspective, Sebastian pole dancing.
No.
Oh, definitely.
At some point, I am going to take this out myself, or call a plumber and just have them move all of this.
Do it.
Well, I'll
Yep.
just leave. I'll just
Oh.
move out of this house.
Somebody wants to know what third world country you live in. It's Michigan, so that should explain it.
I live in Michigan. I live in southern Michigan. I'm. Here's what you need to know. I live 3 hours away from the nearest micro center.
Oh, and that's really the most important.
That's the most important
Metric.
metric. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
2 hours. The Denver one, and it's not even that good
A close
apparently.
Border away.
Hey,
Yeah.
when traffic is bad, it might take me 45 minutes.
See, in theory, I think Google Maps tells me it's only 2 hours and 20 minutes away. I've never been able to get there in 2 hours and 20 minutes. There's always construction on 94 or something that prevents you from getting, because it's like from Kalamazoo to Detroit.
How long does Apple Maps tell you
Almost
it
2
gets?
It tells me to drive south for a day and a half.
That sounds about right.
And you need to get on a boat.
Apple Maps has gotten a lot better, but it's because they're just TomTom now. I think it was TomTom.
Didn't they buy them?
Yeah, they just
They
bought
bought
them.
them.
Like, our
Yeah.
maps are fucked. Let's just use an actual map service that works. Sorry for the language.
Sorry, I think we're off the clock now.
Is Micro Center good? Well, Micro Center is the only. It doesn't matter if they're good or not. They're the only hardware store really anymore, at least in this part of the country. We don't have any Fry's,
Yep, no fries.
and so we are stuck with.
Hey, I
Best
gotta
Buy.
go.
Okay.
Apparently my dog is throwing up uncontrollably. So,
No.
bye.
Okay. Bye, Josh. Sorry.
That's
Well-
no good.
Now your kid gets his shoe back.
But look, you wouldn't know that something was going awry because he looks so. Like, is placid the right word? That's a.
Serene.
Yeah.
He always looks like that because he's always pissed off at us.
Yeah, I know. And when he gets to leave, he's like, sigh of relief.
Yeah, I got to go deal with dog puke, and that's better than this.
I'm waiting for him to move and just say, screw you guys.
Exactly.
Here you guys.
you.
I'm going home.
I hate you.
The
Hate you
fidelity
all.
of this still, I mean, it's amazing.
It is quite serene.
Jeremy, that was a little like Cartman there.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was aiming for.
Yeah. Screw you guys. I'm going home.
You got to compress that
Yeah.
throat.
Screw
We'll have
you
another
guys.
stream. We'll have a stream on doing impressions soon.
Yeah. We got the Johnny Ive impression going on. There's like a handful of them. Batman.
Yeah, Batman's easy in the Christopher Nolan era.
Bunch of people you've
Yeah.
never heard of.
Batman, you just go to really deep voice, like this. Where did they go?
You don't have the nipples for
Oh!
it, Sebastian.
Oh, I don't know where they went, Batman. We're going to have to come get you.
That was that sort of malevolent bad guy voice. Like,
Exactly,
"Oh,
yes.
yes. Batman, we will get the information from you. That we see."
You'll never see the light of day again, Batman.
I don't know what that voice is. It's disturbing.
It's
Right.
technically Bane.
It's a little
Is
bit of
it
pain. A little bit,
Hit
yeah.
the delete button.
Not very
No!
good left, though.
Yeah,
I'm not really channeling it very well.
Hey, Wayne, I don't have to hit the delete button because we're not recording this.
No,
I
this is
stopped.
one and done.
I stopped recording, so this is one. Like, yeah, this is just us riffing
Yeah, this is what you pay extra for.
Right.
If your eyeballs are on this now, it's the last time those photons come in that way.
True.
You know, speaking of electronics suppliers, if
Yeah.
you, I don't know if they're allowing auto notify. That's what sucks. Like when this whole supply shortage really started to happen, with especially when the Ryzen 5000 processors came out, Best Buy took away the notify thing because Best Buy was like this hidden gem when Newegg would never have it and you couldn't find it at your local Micro Center. You
Yep.
might just be able to buy it at BestBuy.com for MSRP.
Mhm.
And
Oh, I picked up a few Samsung drives that way.
yeah, and I was like,
Well, and Josh skipped my bitchy picture
oh yes, hold on.
from the Nintendo and Microsoft didn't sell so well this year. But no, I snipped this from the site that all of a sudden accidentally put up the 6800 XTs a little bit before they should have, and I wasn't able to buy one. And now this is the message the website puts up. Due to the high volume or the extremely limited release of the AMD Radeon RX 6000 series reference design, we won't sell you any. Haha.
They're not even accepting back orders.
Not in store, not online, no back orders. Thank you for your understanding.
Here's the
Oh,
sad,
none for you.
here's the sad part of this because historically AMD has not continued to produce their reference cards indefinitely. You can get what
No.
is essentially a reference card from Sapphire because they're like Sapphire and Power Color cards are the same thing. But
Well, they're all essentially the same thing right now. I saw MSIs looked very reference card like. Definitely Sapphires. If you go to Best Buy and if you look up the 6800 series, you'll see that they don't have the AMD one, but they definitely have MSI and one other might have been Sapphire. They both look very similar. I went on Amazon's Auto Notify actually, and the next day after the 5000 series release, I got an email saying that it was available, and of course I logged in, but by then it was 9:00 in the morning, and it had been gone again. But it did work once, and it's never been back in stock.
they are really nice cards. Like here's the XT. It is a solidly made graphics card. It's a nice looking cooler. They're quiet. We didn't talk about that when we.
Hey, which
Talk over
parts
the
are
review.
aluminum versus plastic?
Well, the back plate's definitely aluminum. I believe this part of the shroud is plastic. The black.
Oh, okay.
This back part is aluminum, which makes sense because there's a bracket here. It's like the back
Yeah.
plate kind of wraps around, but then this piece here, which is where it's going to be affixed in like custom systems. Like you're going to have a bracket to keep from sagging. This is a very heavy card. This makes the 30. It doesn't make the 3080 feel light, but it is noticeably heavier than the 3080. So it's only 5
Well,
ounces
the way that
heavier
they've
than
chosen to cool it, that makes sense.
Yeah. So it's.
But I still want to find some of my old machinist friends if I ever get one of these cards and take that back plate out and let them go at it with the CNC. Because it's just wrong.
Oh yeah, this. Yeah, that's just
Yeah.
weird. Having
Yeah.
no ventilation at all.
But the vents run top to bottom,
They
so I'm not
do.
sure what it
They
would
do.
buy you really in opening that up. I don't see it.
My 6950 is the same thing, except it also, because it is, like the cooler was separated. So you got a lot of outflow on the top and the bottom of the card. But it had exhaust vents.
Yeah, I
I don't,
like Brett
I
said,
don't, I don't grasp the benefit. Are you trying to make it waterproof in case someone spills water down the back of your case?
You could have had a different. Instead of having them all vertical, you could have had a section with horizontal fins, like on the GPU half, and then the other half could be just like your VRM and memory could go up and down. You know what I'm saying? Like, because the 3070 design is like two separate chambers almost. Where this
Yeah,
one,
they block it off.
yeah, this one actually blows straight out the back, which is heavily
Yeah, and the other one's the V.
right, which comes out through here. So it like passes air through, but most of your hot air is exhausted straight out the back of the case. So it's fine. Like this design actually works quite well.
So a bunch
Because
of kids
that
came up
design-
from industrial design school, and this is what they've decided is cool now.
Well, and then if you look at teardowns, like Gamers Nexus has their teardown done. I was just looking at a website this morning that had one. This is using a thermal pad. There are some choices that have been made that are not like ideal as far as efficiency and controlling thermals. Their noise target is very low. Like I think about 38 dB, because I was getting readings of 37 to 38 at load with the fan spinning at approximately 50%. So I tried doing some custom fan stuff. I wanted to measure like 25, 50, and 75% fans, but I didn't have any utilities that would do anything. Like I tried the latest version of Afterburner, and I tried X1, and they wouldn't do anything with this. So I'll have to wait until there's maybe it was just the press driver I was on, but I couldn't adjust the fan speed manually. Because maybe I'm missing something. But by default, it favors silence over thermals, but it has a target of 77C, very much like the 3080.
It's decent, but it's not what it really runs at when it's at full blast, is it?
No, and the hotspot's higher, of course. They measure temperature differently than NVIDIA does, and they have their hotspot, which was 97. It's still lower than the reference card, but I wasn't doing the kind of extensive... This is like game scenario running a single benchmark that's less than... Like I did 10 consecutive runs of Metro Exodus for the power. Just trying to get a high power reading to see where it maxed out. It spiked up to like 326. But that's not the best way to like just saturate thermals. I would have to play a game for like an hour or two inside of a case, and then I'm sure you're well over 100 on the hotspot. But overall, no real complaints about this, other than if you were close to it, you could hear the chatter. Like it kind of sounded like an old hard drive. Not that loud, but just like that electrical chatter.
Did you get any coil wine off of yours? There's a couple of ones out there with recordings of them that were pretty damn intense.
Define coil whine, because
the chokes. Well, I mean, what does it sound like?
Yeah, I mean, there was some of that, a little bit of that, like the really high pitched. If you were in menus where it was like 1,700 frames per second or something.
A buzzing and then a high pitched. Stop it.
It's like kind of dialing into AOL. You know, it was like just for a few moments there'd be that ultra high. There's some,
Oh, when it moves, then you worry. If it's solid, it's fine.
It's not consistent. So
and if you've just tuned in,
but not much. It's more of that.
Oh, the crackling.
Oh, that's worrying.
That's the sound.
Yeah, that one. Mm-hmm.
So, who knows? But here's something I've learned over the years is sometimes it's not just the GPU, it's the GPU's relationship to the PSU. Because I've had certain PSU GPU combinations that were super loud, whereas other ones were not. And in fact, Silverstone, I don't have this one anymore, but a power supply I bought a long time ago, it's like the ST1000, whatever model it was, one of its features was that the PCI Express power connectors had their own like resistors on them inline to try to cut down on coil whine somehow. It was modestly effective. I bought that because I had a R9 290X Lightning at the time, and it had just ridiculous
the 290
coil whine. Yeah, the 290X.
Yeah.
R9 290X Lightning, the highest end 290X. For some reason, I decided I needed to buy the.
Oh, they screamed.
Yeah,
Apparently,
very loud.
I never had one, but
the reference card for that one wasn't. I mean, the cooler was so loud, I would never have known if there was any kind of electrical noise because it was like 55 decibels. But
it's not a leaf blower.
that's people wanted.
It was a leaf blower.
They wanted the triple axial fans, and they were happy when they saw this design. I think it's funny because remember those earliest renders that leaked. It was a dual fan design.
Oh, yeah.
And it looked exactly like a 20 series.
Mm-hmm. It was the one that was like partially in shadow.
Yes.
And, we caught it off of a presentation or something. I thought it may have been.
And then I think they learned what NVIDIA was planning. And it was like, hey, we're not going to do this dual fan anymore. We're going to turn up the clocks, put a beefier cooler on it, and we know this architecture scales up with frequency, so then we can beat
Mhm.
them, and that's exactly what they've done. Like it's. I would love to read the book on this years from now, on these graphics card wars, and because there's been a lot of engineering that went into this. There's been a lot of, I don't know if there's been espionage or what, but who needs that when you've got videocards.com? Just go there and they've got all the stuff. The press decks, the
Yep.
second the watermarks come off, the press deck is up on video cards.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And it's not me. AMD, if you're watching, it wasn't me this time. Or any.
Hey, we're going to get a little bit more behind the scenes kind of understanding of what it is they're going to be doing when the 3090, or not, sorry, it's not 3090, the 6900.
XT.
Yeah, the 6900. Yeah, when the 6900 comes out, 6900 XT, and that does or does not lose performance kind of the same way at higher resolutions. We'll know that, okay, hey, they can fix it. The memory architecture is not the issue. It's something else. It's a clock speed problem. It's a tuning,
I don't think it's a clock speed issue. It's just
issue. Well, we don't know. We know the memory architecture is the same,
It
across
is.
all of them. So if we see that sort of little that fold over a little bit at higher resolutions on the 6900, we'll know that, well, maybe it is the way they've done the memory. So that'll be telling.
if it was memory, then sites like ours could go through and just test like low through ultra detail settings and see if there was any scaling, even at the same resolution. Because like the bigger the memory footprint you can throw at
Drive the
it.
textures.
Like
Yeah.
do ultra textures on something versus like lowest textures. HD textures on. Like, I wish there were games like Far Cry 5 that were much more advanced. Like Far Cry 5 has this handy like HD textures on and off thing that dramatically changes the memory footprint.
Yes, but how much impact does it have on the card?
Yeah, and that was a
Very
game
little.
that still scaled just fine with
Yeah.
at 4K, because I only tested it at 4K because it's a game that is actually CPU bound even at 1440 Ultra. So I can't use 1440 Ultra results with my current test bench because it's a 3900X. And I have an 1800 F clock, but it's not overclocked. And you get significantly higher performance even at 1440p with certain games with like a 5900X. But where is it here? Far Cry 5.
But here's my question. What's AMD going to do if they release a new CPU family before they release a new GPU family?
What do you mean?
What are they going to call it?
Yeah, because they just had the 7000s not too long ago, didn't they?
Well, no,
Yeah,
but
there
when
was
my
the workstation one, right?
5800X, no, when my 5800 XT gets replaced with a 6800X,
Right, that's true. Because they'll conflict
that's
with.
going to be paired with
but-
my 6800 XT.
This is why you just need.
It's not going to be
letters.
confusing at all.
Because RX indicates Radeon Extreme.
Yes,
I
and
guess. And then
Sure.
R7 indicates something, but all you're talking about is one's an X and one's a 7, and they're very different.
What? Yeah, AMD just copied Intel's nomenclature because Intel had a 3, a 5, a 7, and then a
Now they
9.
have
And
a
a 9.
10,900 and change.
Right, but they still have Core i5, Core i7, Core i9, which is all like
Yeah.
remnants from the Nehalem era.
Yeah.
And I guess it was supposed to be an easy way for consumers to identify a product performance level, like, oh, this is an i3 performance level, but this is an i5, like Intel performance
But when
level
my
5.
CPU and my GPU have the exact same number in their name.
Well, don't forget laptop, because they've also kind of screwed around
Oh,
with
and
laptop.
I wasn't even thinking of that.
Because then they skipped 4000 on desktop because they went 4000 on laptop with the previous
Mhm.
generation architecture. So now when,
Don't those all have a U?
I don't know.
Yes, but-
yes, Zen 3. I mean, we're going to be at like naming parity, I assume. Am I insane? Have I completely missed it, or are there Zen 3 laptops that, or is it still Zen 2 Plus?
There was a kind of a
Ooh.
funny thing in there that may have not been Zen 3, yeah.
Well, because right,
Yeah, I
so,
don't
like,
think there
'cause
is,
they do
though.
monolithic. It's a different die. They have a
Yeah.
slightly different architecture for the mobile parts, even though it's the same.
Which is
core
going to
architecture.
screw them because Intel is going to take the laptop lead with Z.
Didn't you hear?
Looks that
Jeremy?
way.
It's irrelevant. Intel and AMD are dead on laptop. It's all about Apple's M1 custom silicon that is faster than anything else, even a Mac Pro in Geekbench.
Haven't you
So-
seen the
True.
charts without
Yeah.
X and Y axes? It doesn't even matter
Haven't you
because
seen
the
that they're,
curves.
like 2 to 3,
the
5x
curves
faster?
And 2-year-old hardware, they spank.
Look at the difference. That's 4-year-old hardware to you.
Yeah, I thought they did they thought they did one of the recent rebrands though. So yeah, 4-year-old, but
Yeah, it's
refreshed
based
2
on
years
4-year-old
ago.
stuff. Yeah.
Speaking of rebrands,
Some
isn't
real
it
numbers
amazing
eventually came out.
that
Sorry, go ahead.
we went from talking about
They weren't so
Polaris rebrands for like 3 years to having.
Nvidia did the same
Architecture.
frickin' thing.
Yeah, that's true. How many times did they reuse the 8800 series?
Yeah. Well, they had to get sick of the 6800 series first.
Yeah.
Then they started reusing the 8800.
Yeah, 8800 became 9800, became. What was was it kind of the basis of the GeForce 200 series too? Was it just like a die shrink and?
Yep.
Yeah, we didn't have new architecture until the 4000 with Fermi. Because they skipped 300. 300 was only in OEMs, I believe. There was a couple of like 300 series
Sounds right.
GPUs. Just like 100. 100 series GPUs were in the Mac Pro. Apple had like GTX 100 graphics cards, like 120.
I don't remember that. When was that era? What
Good
machine was
point,
that in?
Gizmo.
First generation Mac Pro. 1.1. Or maybe it was
Yeah,
1.
we haven't even brought up Czen yet.
1,1s. Yeah.
I have a 1.1 that works just fine, and it's
I have a
horribly
3,1
slow for anything but Windows XP. It runs Windows XP like a champ. You don't even need Boot Camp. You can literally boot it
Yeah,
up
they
with an
made
XP
great-
CD.
They made great Windows PCs for a while.
They did.
They really did.
Boot Camp support was actually decent for a while, except graphics drivers were always way behind.
Yeah. But they didn't have very good graphics cards to support natively anyway, so.
I had a iMac in 2007 that had an NVIDIA graphics chip, and it was a GT 7600 GT. It was a Core 2 Duo.
That sounds
Pretty
right.
fast for the time.
The top card was the 8000 series. It might have been the 8800 GT that era, so
Yep.
that sounds
Mine
right.
was only a 7000 series card. I bought it refurbished. It was a little older. It was a late 2006 model. But it was the biggest, highest resolution screen I'd ever had. It was a good enough deal that it got into the territory, kind of like with the 5K iMac now, where to go out and buy a professional level display at high resolution like that would cost you almost as much as just buying one of their systems used. You get a whole computer, but then you can't use it as a monitor. So it's
Yeah.
And I sold it.
Of course, if you couldn't afford that,
Oh,
you ended up with that.
within arm's reach.
Hold on, not within arm's reach, but hold on.
Actually, I think the bugger's
Hey.
still in there.
I've got this crappy new thing within arm's
She
reach. Look at
is.
that. That is pretty shizzy.
Look at the choices
Oh.
of outputs
Is
we
that
had back
is
in
that
those days.
is that single-ended DVI? Single? Not even dual.
S video?
Oh, S video. Oh, my heart weeps.
I actually have one of those cards, Jeremy, but then I found this one.
Well, if you know anyone that wants
box.
to buy it, I'd be happy to sell it.
It's sealed. This is sealed in the original packaging.
Which one is that again?
It's an 8800.
Okay, yeah, 8800 GTS. Oh, sealed in box.
Accelerated.
PNY.
Accelerate.
PNY, graphics card maker of old. Who does that still exist, or somebody buy them, or
No,
they
they're
just
still around.
disappear?
They just do like data.
Oh no,
center.
PNY is still around.
They're not really as focused on consumer graphics anymore. They do like low end stuff and like enterprise stuff.
Ah, okay.
Because there really is still a need for like the blower style design when you're stacking them up in like a deep learning machine,
Mm-hmm.
and they do that.
If you look at the
Gizmo,
Instinct
that's
cards-
the 640. This is the 640 version with the crippled
it's
memory
double
bus.
the memory. Mine's only 320.
Same memory bus though,
Oh, okay.
so it actually didn't matter.
You didn't get any high. Hey, but when you were playing at those high resolutions back then, like
640 by 480.
well, that's not high. We're talking like, we're talking 1280 by 1024.
You madman.
Oh, by 1024. Wow.
Could you do that on 8800 GTS? Because GTS was like the low end, right? And then there was GT and then
Yeah.
GTX. I don't know.
It doesn't want to go back in.
I don't think it,
I had
it can only be unpacked.
I had one of those bad flashbacks, Brett, when you showed your pick, because I had that exact whatever brand on Amazon of thermal
Yeah.
gun. My son
Yeah.
used it as a hammer on something and smashed it.
That is bad for it, I think,
know, it
in
is.
general.
And it didn't work properly after that, so I ended up throwing it away.
Yeah.
Need to buy a new one.
Yeah, but
Weird.
maybe you paid more for it back then, and now it's $18.
Oh, it
I mean-
keeps on fluctuating? It was 23.
Well,
wasn't it?
there are a lot of them available,
right, yeah.
and I went and looked for one that was kind of like mid-priced, low end, that looked like it would probably work.
Mir is correcting me in Discord. He said it's GT, then GTS, then GTX, then GTX Ultra.
GTX Ultra.
So GTX
Yeah, because
is faster than
confusing naming conventions are a long time running.
What's hilarious to me is that I also had at one point, like I think I had an X800 XT, and I think there was also an XTX. ATI used XT. That's where it came from. And AMD's back to using old ATI naming conventions for their graphics, where you have the 6800, the 6800 XT. And it's funny because they're RX. So now I just look at it and I see the X, the product name, the XT at the end. It's just like we went back in time to the old ATI Radeon stuff, the X, 1800 XT, that sort of thing. And what's hilarious is, I don't know if you can see it on this camera or not. Look at the review. Oh, what do you have there? Is it the 9800?
What do you got?
9600? It says 256 meg. What is it? He's not going to answer me.
No,
We're seeing it. We can't hear anything. I mean, it's there.
still in the anti-static. He's not talking.
Nice. He's not talking.
No, I muted it so you couldn't hear the
But we
crackling
were hearing
of the
crinkling.
packaging.
There are people who are
9600
yeah.
XT.
Hey, Gizmo, I think you're right. I think you actually have not a native PCI Express card.
Oh, I mean,
Oh,
the
it's
coolers
so
we had
dainty.
back in the day. It's
Dainty.
Does that fan still work properly, or does it like shriek? I mean, if it spins anymore, that's probably still a good thing.
Is that it? What's the bus on that?
That's AGP 8X.
AGP.
oh, that's AGP.
Yeah.
Yeah, it still spins
Brett,
more or less.
Apple did use AGP for a while, so
You know
know
what?
that.
And new bus. So there.
yeah. I don't. Okay, I was gonna say if you can read.
Yeah, get on the new bus.
read
Yeah, and we mean NU.
If you can read
Oh,
the text there,
I can. It's barely in focus.
it's hard because I'm not focused anyway. It says ATI Technologies ULC on it.
ATI. Yeah.
What's funny is when you get a graphics card sample from AMD, it actually comes from ATI.
Oh, where's that? Ah, wrong side.
There you go. ATI.
So of course it's ATI, but what's the model?
It's the same one that he had.
9600 XT.
9600 XT.
You know,
Okay.
you did explain to the Discord the only way to actually get one of these cards was to be a hardware reviewer.
Right. Okay. This is my PSA. Let me go to camera one. Hold on a second. There's been a lot of talk about availability problems with this new graphics card launch, and the short answer is this: just become a hardware reviewer, get on AMD's list, and they'll send you one to review. It's as simple as that. Don't wait in line. Get it before it even comes out. That's my advice. Just start reviewing hardware if you want access to it, because you just can't buy anything anymore.
Yeah, you just need a going concern website that has like some a measure of reviews on it and all that, and just
several
work from there.
viewers, and that was
Right.
it.
I just got. I wish I'd done this while we were still recording. I just got a couple of emails on Patreon pledges.
We can add them
Really?
next week.
Yeah. Chasp Zero has edited their pledge. They have bumped their pledge considerably. Thank you, Chasp. That's great. And we have someone who must be facing some hard times. They have edited their pledge down a little bit, but they're still a supporter. So thank
Hey.
you very much. Appreciate it.
Hey,
The fact that anybody
We do.
contributes anything is amazing to me.
It is amazing. We put on a show. It's for you guys. That's the reason.
Just don't be a reviewer outside the U.S. You have to send them back.
Oh, do you?
Interesting. Yeah. Well, some companies
yeah, and
do even
they
here.
sometimes lie about the customs payments.
Oh,
What do you mean? How does that work?
like the declaration of value? You mean?
No, the promise that don't worry, we're going to take care of all the customs brokerage fees. And then you give them your work address to get the review unit because you'll be there and can deal with the large package. And then your controller is asking you why there's this charge coming in.
Oh, you end up kind of
They
pushing
fixed
off
it
onto a work
but
charge.
It was
I did not know that you could not hear me. I guess I bumped the volume on this mic. Sorry.
Oh, you're much more crisp now.
Yeah,
Louder.
I had rolled back the volume. This is the problem with the dial being right here.
You don't see it, so yeah.
Plus, I keep on looking away from it. This whole thing has been a disaster. My production gets a D minus. I only
I
give
blame it
myself
on the copper pipe.
I only give myself that high of a score because we actually were online and streaming this whole time, even though what was being streamed was usually terrible. Like I had the wrong camera up, or I took Josh off the stream repeatedly.
It's the copper pipe's fault.
It's not just in my mind; it's in my peripheral vision at all times, and it reflects these RGB lights behind me, which I was trying to get to stop changing colors, and they have to be connected to a PC at all times to have any control over the light. Otherwise, they just cycle endlessly. So I'd have to run another cable back here to go to a PC to just run IQ software and keep them one constant color.
The deep purple is nice. I like when it goes through that color.
I was gonna say I like it when it's teal or purple. I haven't decided yet. Like right there is pretty good. Then it gets too
Yeah,
green.
that's good too. Yep.
Gets too green. Then it turns kind of that
Go-
tealish blue.
but it hit a yellow first, which was odd.
And I don't like the red. I don't like the shade of red that
This
it
is why I
produces.
don't like
No.
RGBs.
It's the tyranny of choice.
I have one vote for purple. Nick Berry, all right, that's been noted. I was thinking purple earlier.
Yep.
I got to run a
Just-
USB cable. Make that happen.
Yep. When you see your favorite color, circle it on your screen.
And then Josh, yes, there is a Josh statue. Hold on, I just clicked the wrong thing. There we go.
Again,
Come on, you guys. Come on. I got to
Come
get
on.
going.
Look.
yeah.
was Josh.
Am I talking
thinking the
here?
same
Am I
thing.
talking here?
Can I
talking?
finish a sentence, please?
No.
No,
Is it
Josh,
just
I'm sorry,
me?
You can.
It's just me.
Yeah, another thing. What's the deal with paper clips? Oh wait, no, sorry. Josh G. Rooney. It is so realistic. It's like having Josh here right now. NVIDIA had a record quarter, and they
Billions.
are in data center, big, and gaming too, and other financial numbers.
No.
There you go.
Winning.
The Josh
Large.
experience. Josh, what are those headphones that you're wearing? Oh, these are the new HS75s, I believe. These are from Corsair. They offer. I'm kind of doing a little bit of a Peter Griffin thing here. I'm not trying to. They are. It's a soft feel against the head. They have something called haptic feedback, which it's nice. It's like it's tickling my ears.
Tell me more.
All right.
All right, boys.
Yeah,
I
you had to
think I
be
should
on the
go.
early show.
It's time to go.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. But thanks for the laughs this evening. Yeah, I think Helms just said that as well. Good times.
Yes.
Thanks for showing up.
Yeah, thank you for watching this. And, we almost made it to 3 hours. Not quite. We've been streaming for
Oh my God.
2
Hooray.
hours and 49 minutes. It is time to go. I don't even want to see the file size because I was recording at 16
It
megabit
will be
again.
big.
Yeah, it's going to be like 14 gigabytes or something. All right.
So I've
I'll
got
have
a,
to
easy
edit
to
this.
work with.
I've got a read to do for you tomorrow, so
Oh,
I'll
boy.
manage that. Yeah.
Don't just take your time because I've got a bunch of stuff going on. I've got people coming and changing out water meters at some point between noon and 4, and then I have my wife's family coming over. So it's like this may be one of those where I don't get it edited until like late into the night or something.
Could happen.
I'll
that
try to
way.
do a
Sure.
Thursday release like I did last week, but maybe it'll be Friday.
Yeah.
You just don't know. All right, I'm gonna take the stream down. Thank you guys.
Thanks. Good night.
See ya.